Zen over here reviewing another anime, and this time we're gonna be reviewing Boku no Hero Academy, one of the most top like spring 2016 animes that is being like on the topic right now. Like the hype is going on with this main anime. You know, if you guys love superheroes, guys love action, you guys love a little bit of romance on the side, all that kind of stuff. Boku no Hero Academy is your bet. After Naruto was I feel like it's like after Naruto got completely done, people were wondering, oh, what's the next thing on Shonen Jump that's like we're gonna jump on the bandwagon to? And guess what? Boku no Hero Academy is the next one. See, Boku no Hero Academy, it follows the events of like this main character called Izuka Midoriya, and he's basically like this kid who like lives in like a superhero society. That's what this is what basically like the whole entire anime is about. It's like a superhero society. Think of like One Punch Man. That's what I can give you like a good example. It's a One Punch Man kind of world, but that's a little bit more detailed and organized than One Punch Man. Because One Punch Man is just think of it more like a comical spoof, while Boku no Hero Academy is more of uh think of it more like the more serious one that like it takes more everything into consideration, like everything like the city and everything, all the events, ranks and everything. Think of that like Boku Hero Academy. But that's not what we're going to talk about. We're not going to be talking about One Punch Man. We're going to talk about Boku no Hero Academy, or in English, My Hero Academy, if I remember correctly. But it follows the events of Izuka Midoriya. I can't pronounce that right, I swear to God. And basically, like I said, he lives in a superhero society where like people like all of a sudden start having superpowers, and just they are like and then they don't really call it superpowers, as you can say in this kind of anime. They call it how do I say quirks in this one. Yeah, they call it quirks, which I think is kind of more suitable for this anime, because they kind of emphasize that like, oh, when a superhero here like has has a superpower, they never emphasize the fact that a superpower has like a weakness, or does something to the body. So like I'm guessing that's what probably might be like, that's what they call it, a quirk. I'm guessing because it's like a trait. And that's kind of cute in a sense, you could say. Like, oh, we're gonna call it a quirk here, but this anime calls their superpowers quirks. Just to not give it like that same name brand as like any other superhero powers. That's the way I kind of see it too. At the same time, not trying to be petty or anything. But moving on, Boku no Hero Academy is still a good anime that you guys should watch. Like I said, it like in this superhero society, like people like they kind of got used to having people with super. So I'm sorry, I can't say superpowers. People got used to having quirks around all over the place. So what happens is the the society that like Boku no Hero Academy has, they actually built upon superheroes in order to like combat villains that have that have quirks as well. Which I think is kind of cool in a sense. It's another superhero anime that like that you can kind of trend and follow to in a sense. But when you continue watching this anime, you're gonna see that like you're gonna fall in love with the main character, Izuku Midoriya, whatever, whatever his name is. Crap, I can't even pronounce it right. To me and my Japanese. But it follows that in this episode, like it shows that he actually has no superpowers. Yes, he actually doesn't, which is kind of ironic that everybody has superpowers, but out of everybody, he doesn't have any superpowers, or in their case, he does have no quirks. He has no quirks in this superhero society, in this quirk society, you could say. But with no quirks, it kind of sets him apart from being the person that he wants to be, because his dream right now is to be the best superhero, because he got inspired by one of the strongest superheroes in Boku no Hero Academy, apparently, and it's the hero All Might. Yes, All Might. It's funny when you take a look at this guy, the hero All Might. He literally looks like a westernized American comic superhero than the regular Japanese comic, with like the lines are more thinner. The detail is not as strong as like American comics, where the lines are darker, sharper, like rugged. You could say like a rugged face, more more dirty. I want to say dirtier, more like, how do I say, like more like plastered, you could say. That's the kind of word I'm kind of looking for, like more plastered. But it just looks like looks more like, it looks like a Hulk, like yeah, kind of like a Hulk, but with like a like kind of like the Flash. Yeah, actually, it looks, think of him more like the Flash, but with like a crazy hairdo. Think of him like that. That's how he like. He's like a like a buffed ass American comic hero kind of guy. You can kind of say, because and he even stands out throughout the whole entire like anime. Like, you can literally see that he just looks like he doesn't even have the same drawing style as all the other people around there. Like, he just literally looks like he just stands up there in glory, But this guy, he's the strongest hero in this, and that's what he inspired the main character to, to try to become a superhero. But because in the episode later on that you see that Izuka doesn't have any superpowers, like what can we say? He just was gone. His dreams were shattered. You literally see in this episode, his dreams were shattered. You feel like he had tears running down his face, and you're wondering like, oh man, you kind of feel sorry for this kid, like ouch, You're the only one that apparently doesn't have any superpowers. Like, said, kind of feel sorry for the little kid. But all respects to the guy, and in the episode, you kind of see that, like, even like growing an extra finger is also a quirk in there, and the main character can't even do that, and that's what's funny, that like all superpowers are just like the verge of it. But and you literally see in this episode as well that Izuka's still strong, and he's kind of like a nerd too, you could say, in like the way they kind of portray this character. He's like a small little nerd who, like, apparently because how he has so much time on his hands since he's not really training a quirk or anything, so he kind of went like full otaku status on everybody else, and be like, oh, this superhero does this superhero does that, especially when this villain that could like grow into like a proportionate size, I would say. He would start attacking the city, and in the episode you literally see that also superheroes actually are making a name for themselves in order to gain fame, power, and influence, kind of like in One Punch Man too. But in this one, they're not really explaining that much, but it's similar to One Punch Man, how the superheroes actually trying to gain fame. But this one, you see this one called, I think it was a Mountain Lady, just came in and swooped in the enemy, handcuffed it herself and everything, and just so that like she can gain rise to fame, and it's kind of funny, like that. It does resemble a lot like One Punch Man. I'm gonna say One Punch Man because that's the one, since like that's another big one that's like really out there. That's like for any viewers that out there that are watching One Punch Man. I feel like it literally does resemble that, but just that, think of the main character starting from scratch. That's the way I can say it. The main character starting from scratch, unlike One Punch Man, where the main character is already super powerful, and he's kind of going on a reverse slope, like, they go back and say, oh, how did he became this, how did he became, but no, in Boku No Hero Academy, it's kind of like the traditional Shonen Jump way, where he actually, you're gonna see, I'm guessing him to rise to power, you know. That's the way I'm seeing, like, how this anime is gonna be going towards to, you know. And continue on through the episode, we also see that in the episode, he has also, like, he's made friends. The main character's made friends and enemies. Like, there's this one called Katsuki Bakugo. I find, yeah, Batsuki Bakugo. Kind of sounds like a tough name right there, Katsuki Bakugo. But his quirk right here is, you could say it's like an exploding quirk, and then he, like, you could tell, like, he's kind of like his you could say, like, best friend slash rival, or not even the best friend, or something like that, like, I would say like acquaintance now, because like he's like punking Izuka throughout the whole entire episode and saying like, oh, you're nothing, you're not this, you're not that, blah blah blah, gonna like, get out of my face, I'll be the number one. Kind of reminds me of the Naruto slash Sasuke kind of moments, that from Naruto itself. They kind of had that relationship. That's the way I see. Like, I'm telling you, like, it has like a traditional Shonen Jump style to it. And Boku no Hero, that, like, like I said, I feel like it's gonna be the next Naruto, in a sense, because like the art style is amazing in this. By the way, it goes from very comical to very serious to, like, to just then just drawing out like new ideas that like I can't believe the author did this, that there's another scene where like the author actually tried to make a little comical space, as you could say, is where one of a few incoming superheroes was Mountain Lady, or Mount Lady, however you want to pronounce it. She came in the scene, and then she says, "Pleasure to meet your ass acquaintance," and like she kind of like goes to the side and like tries to show her big booty, and I'm just here like, oh dear lord, oh dear lord, like nice pun right there, that was actually kind of funny, like it got me a little smirk right there, like I like the way the author's thinking right there, just a little humor. Like it's not so much as it's very serious. It's still like it's still like it has its own comical side effects. I give this anime like a very very good reasoning. Like if any viewers wants to watch, like this anime really does. I feel like it's gonna be one of those big ones, like out there, like the Naruto, Bleach, and all that stuff. The way that that this episode kind of like brought you in, because this episode kind of brought you in that world that it kind of set itself in a superhero world where the main character is gonna try to rise to the stars. It kind of reminds you of like another Naruto road, but with superpowers instead of ninjas and all that stuff. But continue on. Throughout the episode, we also see that there's some villains that like a kind of like a liquid ooze villain, you could say. He was like following them around, and you could tell like this guy's gonna be like, he kind of reminded me of Venom a little bit, like I thought this guy was gonna be how do I say, like a big main part of the cast, because like the way that he was being portrayed, a lot of heroes would have trouble difficulty defeating this kind of guy, because the way he even said, even though the main character was having trouble breathing while he was being attacked by him, like by suffocation or anything, he's just basically grabbing water, while the main character is being suffocated right there, and that's when right there, that's when like you see like the episode kind of goes into its climax right there, where the villain's making its move and everything. And next, the hero All Might comes out. This westernized kind of guy. Still, like throughout the whole time, so you guys are gonna laugh at this. Actually, this character is actually, it's just he just stands out. I'm sorry, this guy just really stands out throughout the whole entire episode. You look at this guy and you're like, man, what was the author thinking? Like it's a great way to make him super powerful, to make him stand out. But man, like just like it's like you kind of can't take him serious at the same time, because he kind of reminds you like something off of Dexter's Laboratory. I don't know if you folks are acquainted with that. Like he just looks like something off of that too at the same time. Just he kind of looks comical in this kind of scenery. But he comes in, and and he does this wind based attack, or a punch, you could say. He punches this villain and like knocks him out to submission. I BS you not. This guy knocks him out into submission, and with just a single punch. And that I like about his attack was his attacks are actually American based too. I think he called it a Texas Smash, or Detroit Smash. I'm trying to remember it correctly. Yeah, it was a Detroit Smash, if I remember correctly. And you're wondering like, wow, great way to Americanize this guy. See, like his attacks are even based on the U.S. Like this guy's like an American hero. You could tell, just the way that like this guy was very influenced. But I just like the way that like I feel like he's more of a comical character in all his sense. But continuing on, this ain't about the hero All Might. It's about Izuka, the main character right here, the quirkless hero, or soon to be hero right there, I should say. But that's comical, and I like how the episode kind of like made him seem even the main character was comical as well, because when he was they show him like in like little baby pictures, not baby pictures, like in his little baby form, where he's praising his hero, and he's just crying, you're wondering like, oh man, you know he wants to be the best around. Sorry, kind of went off with a little bit of Pokemon right there, but he wants to be the best, you know like in this, like I said, like this episode, like I think it's great. Like Boku No Hero Academy has potential to become really really great anime. And a lot of viewers out there, if you guys want to watch this episode, I suggest watch it. This episode really is, I would say it's entirely good in all its sense, you know. But yeah, this is my review right there. Like, well, what do you guys think of Boku no Hero Academy? What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's just gonna be another traditional shonen based styled manga where like everything's probably gonna be like, oh, I saw this a mile away. Oh, well, what more can we say? Do you guys think that what do you guys think of all the heroes that they've shown in the series so far? Are they what would you expect them to be, or do you think like there'll be some more like qualities that like the author might show into? But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And like, personally, I enjoyed this first animated episode. It looks interesting to me, and I can see why the hype is going around. It just seems like there's a lot of potential in this. But yeah, this is Mr. Zen signing out, guys. YouTubers, it's Mr. Zen over here with another Boku no Hero Academy episode 2 review. What it takes to be a hero. Ooh. This episode straight just jumps off from the last episode, right where Izuka was talking to the hero All Might. And the hero All Might was there acting, all chivalrous and all majestic and everything, in his American detailed comic style, And then, like in this episode, you literally see that this episode was more of a like a changeover, like from the first episode, because from the first episode it focused on the setting the stage, the surroundings and everything. Then it kind of like switched its focus on to, on Mizuka's now, on Mizuka. Like I feel like that's where like this whole entire episode was just literally about him, Mizuka and Bakugo, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and these like because through the whole entire episode, there's this the slime creature actually returns. Yes, the slime creature from the first episode where the hero All Might took it down in one shot with this Texas smash technique. Woo! By the way, that was a really awesome technique that you all should check out. Even though it's just a straight up knockoff of like it could be like a One Punch Man's one punch technique. Like literally, that's what it literally looks like. But I swear, like when you see the slime creature again, you would think that this guy was done over, but no. I like how the creators kind of took a turn for it, and he became then again the main enemy back after the whole entire episode. Well, not the whole entire episode, but mostly I would say three fourths, not three, yeah, about three fourths of the episode. He was a main enemy. But like I said, the episode first started off was where literally the slime creature was just still trapped in his cage, and while Izuka and the hero All Might are all talking on the roof, Bakugo right here, this is how the creature literally escapes. I would think this creature would escape by natural cause, but not the way how the writers intended it to. Like this was kind of like weird for me. Like Bakugo just literally kicks the can that where the slime creature was actually trapped in, and it was like a regular like soda pop bottle or anything. He kicks the can, and the can like I would say it loosens up, and then the slime creature was able to escape. And that's where I'm like thinking like, yeah, that could happen. It could happen, but I was thinking more along like maybe Baku like somebody might have picked it up or something, or they're gonna throw it away. Then they're like, oh, let me empty this out. Like let me empty this bottle out. They're gonna empty this bottle out and they're gonna pour it out. Oh, but they didn't know it might have been the slime creature. See that's the way I would have thought that they might have went along with it. But no, in this case, I see how the creators kind of took along with it and said, you know what, since we're gonna make the second main character, Katsuki Bakugo, we're gonna make him part of the main cast now. Back at it again. You see that literally he just kicks the can and that's it. Kind of disappointed at it. Just a tiny bit. Disappointed just a little tiny bit. But what can I do? But the episode was still entirely like pretty epic in its seriousness right there. You know, from the last scene that we left off was where Izuka was actually talking to Hiro All Might, and like he's excited to actually meet his all time favorite celebrity. It's like you looking at Robert Downey Jr. You're like, holy snap, it's Robert Downey Jr. You know, it's kind of like in that same aspect for Izuka right there. But no, but in this situation, it kind of took like another 360 turn right there at its best. And what happened was Izuka asked his all time favorite not favorite, I want to say favorite question is like you could say like his own opinion on can he be a hero? Can Izuka be a hero? And you know, I kind of like kind of felt sorry for the kid again. Like because I like how the creators are like making this kid like kind of like a sore loser, like in all Shonen Jump like main characters. Oh, you know what? You're gonna be that wimpy ass kid again. Can't get nothing. Can't get the girls. Always a jokester. But here we go. Frickin' All Might literally shuns him down right there in like the first half of the episode. He tells him, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Sorry, kid. You can't be a hero. Sorry about it. Face the reality. You know, you can be a policeman. And that's still a pretty cool occupation. And you're just here thinking like, eee, ouch, like that's kind of brutal. Be a police officer. I mean, at least he gave him like another career path. Like to be a police officer, at least helping his citizens. By the law, create order right there. Zuka's just like, oh, I kind of don't want to be a hero. He's kind of like tearing up right there. But kind of emphasizing the fact that he's still a little kid. Because sometimes people forget that. Oh, I forgot this kid is actually a 14-year-old, 15-year-old. He's still like a little baby. And you're here wondering, oh man, I thought he would actually give him some pumped up motivation, like, yeah, yes you can, yes you can be the best hero you can be, do what you can. But it's kind of took it first and told him, like, just face reality. We're living in they're living in a superhero society, so he doesn't want to raise his hopes and be like, what, that's nice, you have a dream, but like face reality, kid. None of this is gonna happen. You're quirkless, so of course, like I think he's trying out to save this guy's he's trying to save him. So you can kind of say that the big hero All Might was kind of giving him a nice gesture, be like, what, like, just stop where you're going, and do what you can at the moment, even if you're just a regular human, which is just pretty cool in a sense, you could say, you know. But continuing on, oh yes, I forgot we have to talk about this. That's right, I forgot. I'm sorry, like literally just forgot. They actually showcased a little bit more in this episode on is what's his name, the hero All Might's, how he actually naturally looks like. Because how like all the heroes, they all have quirks. Like their quirks are basically just like a recessive trait, you could say, that that people, like, if they long overuse their powers, something happens to them, and yada yada yada. I'm guessing the hero All Might, he can only just use his powers for 3 hours of the whole entire day, which is kind of not bad, to be honest. 3 hours, and you could do a lot in just 3 hours. It's not like it's just nothing. But they kind of emphasize the fact that because he's so great, that's his weakness. That you can only use that power for only 3 hours throughout the whole entire day. He said, I remember correctly, he said in the episode that back in the day he can go for a couple more hours, if I remember correctly, or a day or so. But here you're just wondering, like, wow, kind of makes sense at the same time that, like, like, all that power comes with great responsibility, so better use it wisely right here. But they kind of showcase more like that. Like, I like how that looking at that, like how I said back before, that he has that Western style drawing of comic style, but when he reverts back to his regular, you could say, human form, because when he's not using his quirk, he's actually literally a regular human. When he's back to his regular human form, he's literally he goes back to the shonen style manga, like, the art style. He goes back to that shonen style art style. I'm sorry about that for like stuttering right there. he literally goes back to that side, and it's kind of funny because you kind of at least expect it to at the same time. You're here wondering, holy snap, this took another turn. Like this whole episode was doing a whole 360 turn. Maybe I should call this episode U-turn. Like, oh snap, okay, let's go back and think back. Oh, where are they heading with this episode? And you literally see that the big hero All Might, he's actually a weak aged old man as well, because of the, like, if I remember correctly in the episode, he said that Toxic Chainsaw, some villain that the big hero All Might, he actually fought against, and it took some, like, some organs like that. I think it was like the bladder, not the bladder. I'm sorry, his stomach, or oh, I'm sorry, it was his respiratory system. Yes, there we go. It was his respiratory system that he had to, like, get some, like, surgery done, and that's what causes that his 3 hours a day, like, time frame right there. And you kind of feel sorry for the guy too, because, man, kind of the detailed drawing that it did right there, it looks like somebody shot him and he's just like a recovered cancer. He actually does look like he's a recovering cancer patient, to be honest. That's how the big hero All Might looks like when he's back into his Japanese style. He looks like to me he looked like a recovering cancer patient, like a hippie. He looked like a hippie, you know. And he was there was more dark lines on this character too, like a big heavy set of shadows underneath the eyes. He was really scrawny. Like his arms are like bent, like, like kind of awkwardly, and you're just like wondering, man, this is the big hero All Might that everybody looks up to. Oh wow, looks kind of funky, but we'll go with that. But moving on, you know, we move on to the second part of the acting here, you could say. After Izuka was talking to Big Hero All Might, you know, you see that, like, of course, Big Hero All Might, he shot him down. He shot Izuka down. So, like, Izuka is walking away, from talking to him. He's demotivated. He's like depressed. Because oh, what can I do? And he's looking at his hero analysis book. He's looking at Cameo Woods, Mountain Lady. He's looking at them like, oh, maybe there is. He's trying to look for a small glimmer of hope that maybe these other heroes can help him. I'm assuming from that scene that he was walking by, it looked like he's trying to look for some kind of hope, because he like, like every shonen main character, like they never give up. They never want to quit their dreams. So of course he's moving on, and oh, like I said back before, then it jumps back to the first case scene where the slime creature escapes, and now he's trying to take over. Instead of Izuka's body, he's taking over another person's body, and it has happened to be Bakugo's, and you literally see in this episode that he found, like, the million mile gemstone, because of Bakugo's ability of his, like, exploding arm technique, which is pretty cool, by the way. He literally causes explosions at the tips of his fingers, or palms, you could say. And like a majority of the quirks out there, they're just like replicating an extra arm, an extra eye, or like, it's not they're not as well big in powers. Like, it's not something that'd be like, oh, what, there's something to be fearful about. But Bakugo's ability is really a gemstone power right there. It's like one in a million. It's in his and his has explosions. And when you see the slime creature trying to take over, you see Bakugo, like, struggling against it, but to no avail. Of course, the slime creature was actually just like taking him down. Like, because he was trying to suffocate him. And it's like, like how he said back in the first episode, it only takes 40 seconds. It actually took more than 40 seconds in this episode, and I'm here wondering, maybe it's the time frame because of the anime, because maybe when you're reading it, maybe it might make more sense because everything's going by a little faster. But when you're watching this anime, if it's gonna be another 40 seconds, this was like almost like 20 minutes for, like, what they made it seem like this guy was gonna take over. So, and of course, back with Izuka again. He's walking by, and then we just happen to be seeing the explosion, and all this commotion is happening there. Like, while the slime creature was trying to take over Bakugo, like all this mayhem or all this street that's going on. You just literally see like, oh crap, my best friend, he's being taken over. Oh, and and this is where, like I said back before, that Bakugo's ability was a gemstone, right? Because all the top class heroes, they even couldn't save him against the slime creature, against actually Bakugo, because his ability was actually pretty strong. That when the slime creature was using it, it kind of set them back. Said, crap, we can't save it because he's using his own power to kind of basically shield the creature himself. And that's not what Bakugo was trying to do. He's trying to actually escape, but because he's trying to escape and cause all the explosions that heroes can make, they're like death arms. To me, they look like the hero death arms. Like his power was just like, I don't know, like a strong fist or knuckle or something, or like heavy arms. I'm assuming they didn't really emphasize how much on this guy's powers, but you literally, like, he tried to rescue him, but the slime creature, like, just said, oh, like, he just kind of shrugged it off, like as if it was a tickle to him. And Kamio Woods, he's not good with fire, so he literally was like literally taken out of the picture. um I forgot the fire hydrant guy. I forgot the guy's name. I thought he might have been pretty cool. They didn't even showcase if he can fight or not. He just said, "Oh, he even said, I'm busy trying to control the fire right now." So at least he's doing something. It looked like he has like a water manipulation ability, which is pretty cool in a sense, in that kind of world. But they're kind of using him for something else, just to douse fires. Man, they could have made something better of him. I'm hoping maybe later on in some future episodes they might find another person that uses water that won't be just using just to rescue civilians. Because it's a water control ability is pretty dope. And it's an elemental ability too. So for sure that should be like kind of top notch, kind of hard to take over. Like think of like Juvia from Fairy Tail. Look at her water ability and look how far that gets her in fighting enemies. But no, this guy is more like a secondary character just to help people. You know, it's kind of horrible for that kind of guy. But what can you do about that guy? And it even showcased as well, Mountain Lady. She actually couldn't even rescue Bakugo himself because she was way too big. The lanes was just a one way street. She said it was a one-way street, and she couldn't do nothing. And see, all these heroes have these like amazing abilities and powers, but they all have their drawbacks. Like it was either based on the environment, or it wasn't just strong enough. And that's what makes I'm guessing that's what makes the hero All Might as well kind of strong in a sense, because even though his power is like from so far we've seen is like a incredible force, you could say, from like his fists, it's still top notch because of that. And he can still fit in buildings, and help out civilians. His quick speed, strength, and everything. you know but all these other heroes, they're just not up there on his league. Kind of feel sorry for all those kind of heroes too. They're trying to make a name for themselves, and they can't even do anything about it. But continuing on about those sorry excuse for heroes, you know, like they they actually. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that they actually were struggling too. That they actually were calling for help, and that's how sad it was. I'm so sorry. It was sad. It was sad they were actually calling for help because they couldn't do nothing. They were actually calling for All Might. What if All Might was taking a coffee break, or he's in the restroom taking, like, dropping some feces. Like, Jesus, like these guys are calling themselves heroes. I'm sorry, but like that kind of also disappointed me as well. That's like, damn, these heroes can't do nothing. But I'm guessing it's just the story writer trying to make the story seem more approachable for All Might, because I'm assuming All Might is gonna be like this. I like how they're doing that. Like, All Might is literally like a main focused character throughout this whole entire story. And they're not gonna put him down anytime soon. Ugh, man, Hero All Might. I swear, he has his own comical side and his own serious side. It's all well balanced, you could say, in this episode. But continuing on, you know, but and then you literally see this, since like all the heroes, they actually couldn't help or find help out of everybody that was in the crowd, like taking selfies and pictures, like, oh, there's a kid dying. Oh my God, take a picture. Oh, so why isn't nobody helping out? But they're just taking pictures. His best friend Izuka comes in and actually tries to, at least his best, to save this kid. And that was pretty cool. He said, you know what, F it. That's my best friend. He looks like he needs help. He looks like he needs help. So let me go help this guy. And then it was funny the way that like the creators made him run. Like it looked like he was a 5-year old like from Rugrats. He's like running like all awkwardly to him, and what I find it funny was like, so I'm guessing the sludge character's eyes were apparently sensitive, while everything else, like, it just caused no physical harm, because apparently when Izuka threw his backpack and one of his notebooks hit the evil villain's eye, he actually blinks and kind of like, and moves back a little and lowers his defense. And you're here wondering, why won't Death Arms punch that creature in the eye, and all of this would have been over. Yes, all of it. That's what I was thinking about. All of this could have been over, but no. Freaking these sorry excuses for heroes. So sorry, couldn't even think of that. But when Izuka actually ran towards him, you actually see him try his best. Scraping his arms, trying to dig and claw into that liquid. Trying to save his best friend. And the other heroes, they didn't even do nothing about it. And that's what kind of like, it's kind of just pissing me off at the same time. It's like, man, they could have all worked together and done something, but no, they were just focused on, save the citizens, even though everybody's already in a safe location. Ugh, sorry, it's horrible. But yeah, but then you see, because Izuka was trying to save his best friend, Hiro All Might was there at the scene, but because, like I said back then in the earlier episode, he overexhausted his limit of using his strength. You literally see then he actually plunges in and comes in and does that one punch hit KO against the evil slime creature. And you know what's crazy is that, like, his punch was so strong, man, it kind of made One Punch Man's techniques look like nothing in this episode, of course. Because the minute he sent out his punch, he actually changed the weather. He changed the goddamn weather. All from a single punch, and it threw away like a huge ass sudden change in air pressure. So it brought forth clouds, and therefore all these rain clouds brought down rain, which I thought that little scene was actually pretty cool. Like, wow, there's more to than just having a strong physical technique. He can actually change. You could change the weather too at the same time, which I think that's kind of sets himself apart again from all these heroes. And that's pretty intense. But from the beginning of the episode to the middle, and now to the climax of this episode, where I'm going to that now, is now through all of that, of course, the hero is saved, Bakugo is saved, all of this. Izuka was being tormented by all the, I won't call them B class heroes, or C. Not trying to do a One Punch Man kind of resemblance thing there, but they were scolding him, saying, "You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that." But I'm like, they're thinking, I think it was a smart idea for him to do that. For him helping save his friend, I think that was a very nice gesture. And it helped him, because all those couple, the Bakugo only had a couple of seconds to himself, and that's all that he needed for someone else to come and save him. But then we move on after Izuka got distracted by the reporters and everything. You see the hero All Might come back and talk to Izuka, and that's where there's another U-turn for this whole entire episode. He actually, the hero All Might then tells him, you know what? Out of everybody that I saw there at the battlefield, of course, Izuka had the guts and bravery, just what a hero does, and he told him, you know what, you can be a hero. And like, you see Izuka start busting in tears and everything, and that scene right there, that was kind of beautiful at the end, because you see like the top notch hero, he actually looks at him and says, wow, somebody that doesn't have any powers can do much better than someone with powers. And that's what the theme of this whole entire episode was. Like, of like people that it kind of emphasized that, like the fact that you don't really have to have powers. Like in the beginning of the episode, how All Might was telling him, just be a police officer and you'll still do something. But even the police officers didn't. I'm like here thinking, like, do police officers even exist also in this society too? I'm like here thinking, because you didn't really see any police officers there. So I'm like thinking, like, do they exist? Are they available too, or they just be like, oh, you know what, we'll just keep the crowd back for now and let the heroes handle this. But that's funny though. Yeah, that's pretty funny. But yeah, but that was the entire episode, guys. You know, let me know what you guys think about this episode. In my opinion, I thought it was a a pretty good transition from the first episode. It kind of slowly eases itself there, and you kind of see like the ups and downs of having powers, and the differences in other heroes, of how All Might kind of stands itself apart from the other heroes. But let me know what you guys think about also the policeman in this episode too. You know, let me know in the comment section, if there are like superhero policemen. I'm trying to think, but I can't really think of any right now. You know, but also let me know in the comments of what you guys think of the episode. What do you guys think of Bakugo's ability? Like like, do you guys think it's a top-notch ability, like that sets itself apart from the other heroes? And what do you guys think of how the hero All Might looks like when in his regular Japanese drawn, in style, you could say? But yeah, this is Mr. Zen, finishing with this episode 2 review, which is amazing, by the way. Love this episode. It had a lot of uh, disappointing aspects, but still worth the watch, But this is Mr. Zen signing out. Viewers, it's Mr. Zen over here with another Boku No Hero Academy review. This time we're reviewing episode 3. Now, this episode actually continues off in the last episode, right where we left off, where Midamori was talking to the hero All Might. And Hero All Might now, he actually was now considers Midoriya to inherit his own powers. Yes, Midoriya now literally has now become like the every Shonen Jump character, inheriting the top tier class level of superheroes' powers. And that's crazy about the hero All Might, is that he's still mysterious, but yet they gave a little insight as to who the hero All Might was in the beginning of this episode. They said that hero All Might was, when he began, he came out of nowhere, like from all the other heroes that have been around. He just mysteriously came out of nowhere, started rescuing people, and such, that no one knew where he came from. Even his powers has also been a mystery, and then no one knows what it is. Like, nobody knows if it's super speed, or if it's strengthening, like a amplifier or something. No one knows, because he even the hero All Might even considered also telling Midamori that, like, yes, even I like to keep it as a secret sometimes, because he doesn't trust nobody in the society. And that's what says something about Midamori, is that he's now entrusting, even like how the power was transferred to as well, is kind of weird in itself too, that it's so easy to transfer, that his power is actually, how do I say, he called it all for one, the all for one, or was it one for all for one, or one for all? It was one for one for all for one. My mistake. My mistake. But continue on. Yes, as the episode then continue on, then he also actually, if I remember correctly, he says, of course I'm gonna give you this power, but let me train you. So this whole entire episode was basically just a whole training montage. You know, like literally just think of the Rocky Balboa theme when he's just going up the mountain training, trying to get his body like in perfect shape for the power that he's about to receive. Now, keep this in mind. Every Shonen Jump character or every hero in training that they train, they always have a different method of training. For this instance, he's actually just taking out the trash. I like how they did that kind of Karate Kid kind of style where it's not what you expected, kind of like the kind of training that you would think. He's just taking out the trash, but at the same time, he's being trained vigorously just to train for the all for one's power, all just for Miramori, and that's what I like about it. When the hero All Might also gave him a little like a American dream plan, which I kind of found that funny. Like he's a Japanese character, but yeah, he's coming back with the American puns. Like the all American dream, here you go, man. It's compact, it's ready just for you, man. And it's so hard, you sure you're able to live it up for it? That's how like I feel like it. I thought it might have been like a Rocky Balboa thing kind of going on there. That's what I found funny. But then the episode continues on that he's actually has to clean up the trash at a whole entire beach within the 10 months that for the before he makes it to the next entrance exam, because Minamori still hasn't had time, I would say, to gather the power that he's gained. Now, in this episode, you literally see Minamori struggle throughout just taking out the trash. He's taking out giant bus loads of like considerable trash that like people have thrown away, and now you're actually wondering like can he actually do it? The way that the show was actually implying was that during those 10 months, he's actually being consistent, I should say, with taking out the trash. He's taking out from tires to refrigerators to even giant cars itself. But the hero All Might saying just don't give up. Just continue doing what you gotta do. Take your time, but you're still within the time limit. And that kind of setting too, because while Midori was training, you could say, when he was taking out the wheel, you could tell that while taking the trash, he's gaining all sorts of muscle training exercises. As you can see, while he was taking out trash, while he was taking the wheel, he's working on cardio while carrying the wheel, and he also works on working on his biceps. Which I thought that's a pretty ingenious idea right there. And I bet a lot of viewers will be like, oh, if Midori can do it, let me go do an unorthodox style training to get buffed for the summer. And that's what's funny. But as the plays continue on, I swear, I bet you everybody wasn't expecting this, but little Midori at the end of his 10th month training, he actually was done, and he took off his shirt and literally he was just like showing like a little mini six pack right there going on. I'm just like, damn, bro, damn, looking good there, man. I was like, shit, this guy might pull it off for the ladies right there, Damn, like I actually was impressed. Like I like how he came out from a scrawny kid and then became like I would say the not hero material, but like his body was now in perfect shape to get the inherited power now. Now, at that scene, all that it from what we can speculate from what all the hero All Might has said, all it takes is just a strand of DNA that he plucked from his hair to inherit the power. Now that is intense. That is intense. Like that's actually a very huge weakness right there in itself, and that says a lot too. Because if a lot of villains figured that out, they would literally be after the hero All Might non-stop just to inherit his power. You know, because like imagine that. Like even if he's like he's at a restroom break and just like a villain comes out of nowhere. Oh snap! I didn't sense him. Grabs a piece of his hair, eats it, runs away. Bam. The power has already been transferred to somewhere. No, without even him realizing it. But I'm just saying that's like a speculation of a coincidence of a scenario that might happen. Not saying that it will happen, because I'm pretty sure that can never happen. I'm just saying that's possibly that could happen in future events, and that's how I consider that as a major weakness too at the same time, because holy snap, if Hero All Might gets captured, his power can be transferred to every single person that's available right there at the spot. Now that is crazy. Maybe that's why his power is like is a double-edged sword too. right there in itself. It's so powerful that yeah, its weakness is that it's easily transferred to other people, which is crazy. But moving on, after that whole entire episode of the training montage, you actually see that then it becomes literally from a training montage to now it starts to the UI entrance exam. Now this is where it's going to start to get interesting because Midamori doesn't even know how to control his powers. He just took the strand DNA and said, okay, now you got my powers. Good luck there. That's what the Hero All Might said. Just take the exam and know your pass. And I'm just like, your viewers gonna be thinking like, holy snap, what's his powers gonna be? You know, is it really gonna be super strength or explosive speed or time manipulation? You don't know what exactly exactly it's gonna be right there in itself, right in that whole entire scenario during the UI entrance exam, and also that the UI entrance exam isn't like a traditional like a written test, kind of like how in Naruto was. This one is kind of more like I would say think of like the tuning exams, but part two. Like part two of the tuning exams. Think of it like that. That's how something similar might be. And you actually see as well that some main characters are going to start popping. If you guys pay attention in the intro sequence or the intro song, you see two more characters, I believe, if I remember correctly. It's one of the girls that Midamori talked in the beginning. I'm sorry, like around halfway through the episode, and this one guy with glasses. They didn't really introduce their names yet, but they got introduced. So that's they're gonna become important characters, and the camera also focuses on them every time, so they're gonna be important characters right there. You know, and that's what's basically about it throughout this whole entire episode, because that's where the episode kind of leaves off. Is Midori is gonna start taking the entrance exam in the following episode. Now, this is where it's gonna get intense, because UI, if I remember correctly, is not your traditional school. It's a hero training school, so best be prepared for lots of action in the entrance exam and in the falling forth of events right there. But this is it for the review. I personally thought that this episode was pretty good in itself. It was well paced. Right there. Some scenes were kind of a little bit boring. Introducing some of the a teacher from I would say from the school. It was like hero voice mic, or if I remember correctly. It didn't seem that strong. You would think that teachers would be kind of like pretty outstanding, but it was all right. It was okay. You know. Uh, This is Mr. Zen signing out. But oh, right, that's right. Don't forget, if you enjoy my content, give a like and subscribe. Now, this is Mr. Zen signing out. YouTubers, to another Boku No Hero Academy episode. In this episode, we're reviewing what was it? Episode 4? Yeah, if I remember correctly. Because this is the best episode that has been shown so far. Holy snap. It's the long-awaited actual entrance exam for it. Oh, I'm sorry. I should say the tuning exam 2.0. Because it actually kind of reminded me a little bit of Naruto in a sense. Like going in, taking an exam, eliminating opponents, That's what it felt like to me throughout this whole entire episode. But this episode, like hands down, like was the best one so far in action right there. So far, the episode starts off with them showing I would say the top 3 heroes in the whole entire country for the universe that they try to convey. The first hero was Hero All Might. He was been the top hero of rescuing people, just being the all around glorious hero example. Then they showed them the second best hero right after Hero All Might was a fire or a pyromaniac called the hero Endeavor. We don't know too much about him. I'm assuming they just said he's just a fire user or fire manipulator. Then we got the number 3 best hero was Best Genius, and then from him, that's kind of weird. Best Genius. So I'm assuming he has to do something with clothes, or just or hairstylist maybe. He looks like a hairstylist to me, to be honest. But he's the third best hero right there. And that's pretty cool. But then from there on, then the episode starts kicking in. From right there, we see Midori is now going to take the entrance exam, and we literally see a whole brand new cast of people. The whole, the all the people that they showed in the intro song, they were now slowly popping up. They didn't really say that many names throughout the episode, The only ones that they're like you could kind of would assume that from the episode that like they gave names was if I remember correctly, Tenya, the guy with the glasses, and what was the other girl's name? Uraraka, and that's about it from the names that they've given us so far. But the slowly one by one, each of the characters are starting to pop up now. Like the whole universe is expanding. Like I said, it kind of reminded me of the tuning exam episodes because just like how when the tuning exam started, there that's how they kind of slowly start bringing in people in, and that's what the UI is kind of the UI exam was kind of doing it in that kind of sense. It's bringing a whole mess of people in, but in the same time explaining their powers and such and forth, which I think is kind of good how they're doing it in this sense. It's a little more faster paced in this episode too, because it's just an entrance exam, and there's not gonna be showing that much, but it's just more like I feel like the author just did it a way just to showcase people's powers. That's what it basically was. But continuing on from the episode, we literally see that for the entrance exam, you know how in the tuning exams they actually had to for the first part they had to, from what I remember in Naruto, they had to like write like a written exam, and each of the members have to like pass, and in order for them not to fail. In this one, it was very different, but the only reason why I say it's still similar is because it's an elimination round. It's just another elimination round. And in there, we see that what they basically have to do is basically they have to go inside this like fake city, and inside this fake city, they have to like basically destroy machines, showcasing their powers. Pretty simple though, to be honest. It was a pretty simple explanation. Just go in there, smash as many robots as you can, and the one with the highest points gets entered. So we literally see that right from there, every hero just like literally the minute that they started the countdown, every hero just jumped right in. They had no remorse. They were all so fast. You see Midoriya right there, like, oh, effing shit, like, wow. Like everybody's already up ahead. Everybody was smashing, like, they already have 40 points, 50 points, 30 points, and then Midoriya's just like, oh, snap, I don't have anything. I need to take something down. He had one chance, though, to be honest, in the episode. He had one chance, but because he's never really actually been in a fight, he couldn't really showcase his powers, and because of that, he kind of chickened out. He still thinks of himself as the regular person that he still was. It's still his mentality. He from the last previous episode, the hero All Might basically just said, here, you just eat my piece of DNA and good luck on your test, and by the time that the test starts, you'll have my powers. So basically, he basically has to wing it through this exam, which is pretty funny because the hero All Might is giving Midoriya a huge, like he just has so much faith in him that like you're just wondering like, wow, let's just hope for the best that this guy can make it, entrusting his whole academic perspective right there, which is funny though. And and right when everything is all happening, everybody's waiting. There's a 2-minute countdown, and if you all remember correctly, in the previous episode they actually said that there was a machine that was 0 points, and if you encounter this machine, you just run from it. That's just it. You don't even fight it. You run from it. This machine came out, and it was so huge. It was skyscraper huge. Now you're wondering like, holy snap, maybe Bakuga can take it down, or any of the new people that are coming out. No, none of them actually took it down. Actually, every single hero was actually running away from this giant machine. It was a skyscraper machine. It was destroying the fake. It's still a fake city, but regardless, it's just smashing down everything in its path. You know, and because of that, Uraraka, she actually fell right down, and because I'm assuming like all the debris fell down, and just like her leg got stuck. Even though she has the power of gravity, she apparently couldn't lift that up. But because adrenaline is kicking in, all you're thinking in your mind is just run, 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 run. So I'm assuming that's why she probably didn't use her powers to lift the rubble off her back of the head. There was a little logic that kind of didn't make really any sense right there. She should have used her power right there, and she could have saved. But because I'm assuming for character progression statuses right there, you know, she had to be the damsel in distress, and plus she starts now she's gonna become the main character. But sorry for pausing right there. Back to the main cause of this episode, because this whole episode was just pure emotion. You're literally in your seat like, holy snap, what's going on? Like it was fast paced. It was just fast paced because the episode was giving you that feeling, that Midoriya was feeling, that you can't do anything about it when everybody's already so used to their own powers, and he's just right there, kind of like a whimpering fool, just running around like, holy snap, I need to get a point, I need to get a point, I need to get a point. It's kind of like when you're taking like a college entrance exam or a high school exit exam. You're just in that mentality. You're just like, oh snap, I gotta do good, I gotta do good. That's just the kind of the episode had that kind of feel to it. You're it's like a rushed, like adrenaline kind of feel to it. I don't know about you guys, but I sure did. I was there. I was kind of pumped. I was interested right there. But back to the main point. I'm sorry for digressing right there. We literally see that once the machine was coming down and crashing everything, Midoriya actually now, yes, he actually finally pops out his quirk. His quirk actually, it's kind of funny in a sense. It's kind of like how I would say Naruto uses his tail beast form, because it glows. But when it glows, it kind of gives off like a veiny feel to it. Like it's just like tattoos, or sort of almost. But so then he starts using his legs glow up, so he's able to jump from a far distance all the way to the machine. And for the machine, he actually punches it with his right arm. And you're just wondering like, holy effing, like, wow, he took that thing in one KO. And you're just wondering like, yes, that thing is so badass. But but the downside of the whole thing was, right when he took it down from like skyscraper, like 100 feet up in the air, you're just wondering like, holy snap, yeah, you did this, you finally did it. But then you're wondering like, oh wait, he doesn't have flight powers, so he's falling down, and he actually can't. He, for the purpose of the whole entire, he was thinking to himself, oh, I forgot, I can't fly. So he's just literally falling down from 100 meters. His arm is broken. I forgot to tell you guys. The freaking animation was so perfect that I am so sorry for laughing, but the animation was so perfect right there. His face was dumbfounded because his arm was broken. He was literally had a noodle arm. It was waving on sight right there. His legs were flapping against his own will. The only arm that he had left up was just his left arm. And while he's falling down, he's thinking like, oh snap, I could use my left arm, but then I won't be able to move. You're thinking like, if it was my situation, I would use my left arm. I wouldn't care. I'm trying to save my life. Your life is more important than just making an entrance exam, to be honest. There's always next year, or something along the line, of course. But because of the tension that was in, Midoriya just was literally, he looked like he was literally about to die, but then Uraraka came in and saved Midoriya right there. And that personally was kind of like, it's pretty cool right there in a sense, because it kind of shows that her quirk ability can actually, it's pretty powerful too. The gravity, you could say, like the gravity quirk that she has. And when she uses her gravity quirk with an overabundance, you could say, she throws up. And that was kind of cute right there in a sense. Like the way they kind of animate that little scene when she threw up, like a little rainbow came over, like like implying that, like, oh, she made a little mistake right there. Now, as the episode continued, of course, Midoriya actually, he failed because he didn't get any points. Remember, the machine was actually 0 points. Yes, the machine, if you guys remember correctly, the machine was 0 points. So Midoriya failed. Now, he goes back home, and speaking of when he goes back home, his mother is getting in considerable amount of weight, from what I remember. I could have sworn that she was actually a little more fairly thinner, but I'm assuming it's because she's probably stressed out because, he's actually trying to go to good school. She's trying to keep him healthy, but that's besides the point. Continuing on through the story, you could say. Right then and there, he receives the mail, and he goes into his room. He's just like kind of shocked. He rips the mail open, and Hero All Might comes up, and Hero All Might apologizes to Midoriya, saying that I'm sorry for not contacting you, but here's the deal. You passed, but not because of the villain points. He actually passed because of another reason, and that's saving. Because of he was saving people. The teachers were also looking at another fact too. They weren't checking to see how strong are. They want to see if you're able to throw risk away your own life to save others as well, because that's what it also takes to be a hero. Because remember, this is also trying to play a real life scenario, and that's what I like about that. That they didn't explain that, because if they explained that, then everybody would pass. So they want to see them in a real life scenario to see if how their true natures come out. And that's pretty smart what the teachers did right there. And every single one of the teachers gave him a high point, an 8, a 9, a 10. All gave him 10 saving points. And to be honest, then that's the real reason why Midoriya passed. And it's funny because Uraraka also passed too, because when she actually came by to the school and told him, "Can Midoriya also take some of my points? If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So I want to, return the favor and actually help him pass. Because of him, he couldn't pass." And you're wondering like, wow, that takes guts, you know. And the whole entire episode, you're just wondering like, holy snap, he made it. He finally made it. Yes, Midoriya then finally makes it, and then, of course, the hero All Might gives him a little tiny speech right there in itself, saying that, "Welcome to the hero to UI Academy." And that's basically the whole entire episode right there. And you're just wondering like, holy snap! You're just pumped up for action. Like legit, this whole episode was just like just pure tension, full of emotions. You're just like, holy snap! Did Miria get in? Did well? You're kind of hoping that they were kind of showcase a little bit more on the other people's powers, but it's still too early in the series, as there will be more tasks at hand and everything. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this episode. Do you guys feel the rush and excitement of this episode? What do you guys think of Midoriya's actually quirk? That like it's like a double-edged sword, where like if he uses it once, it's just that's it. His whole fraction of an arm is just gone. What do you guys think of the entrance exam? Did it really remind you of the tuning exams? 'Cause to me personally, it did remind me of the tuning exams 2.0. But this is Mr. Zen signing out. Welcome, YouTubers, to another episode of Boku No Hero Academy discussion, review, or impression, or however they want to call it. In this episode, we're reviewing episode 5. And now, this episode was a little more slower than the other episodes, I would say. After the last episode, it was continuing like a continuous action-paced episode. This one was more, I would say, an introduction episode. Now, this episode, it starts off and begins with All Might congratulating Midoriya from passing the entrance exam. And now, I was rooting for Midoriya to pass that entrance exam. I'm hoping all you guys were as well. But we kind of figure right there in the conversation that they both had, All Might was actually, how do I say, he was surprised as well that all the plans that he's making right now is all going faster than what he expected. Midoriya really is like the odd one out, as is to say, because his determination is so strong that everything is going according to his plan. Because through the conversation, you could see that I could say that All Might was actually looking for a successor in the entrance exam, actually, and by finding Midoriya before that, that actually is putting Midoriya right there on top. That like he's actually considering, like, he's glad that he chose Midoriya right there. And in the conversation, he's kind of glad too that he's actually using the properly too. It's not, I wouldn't say property, but like he feels like he's really the right successor. He sees that now, because he's saying that in the little reference, that he's passing on the torch as he's getting weaker. I'm assuming because it kind of implied right there as if he's dying or something a lot faster too. So that's why he's kind of like hoping that Midoriya will take on the torch of achievement passed on to Midoriya. And that's pretty cool right there in itself. That when you think about that, Midoriya is actually going over 100% of what is expected to be from the hero All Might. And the hero All Might, his top standards are actually really high. And he even sometimes downgrades Midoriya right there in itself. So you know for sure that Midoriya is literally the perfect candidate right there. And they kind of have a little comical sense right there. They're like, oh, the hero All Might, you know, he's here at the beach talking to a random stranger, and like I'm guessing that the hero All Might was actually trying to uh, convince everyone that, oh no, it's just a little kid. He's crazy. He didn't see no one over here. But as the episode continues, we learn that right after the actual entrance exam, we learn a little bit about Lida. Tenya Lida. He comes from like a prestigious school because he was having a little conversation with Bakuga, and they were kind of arguing because Bakuga comes kind of like from like I would say a lower class school, but Tenya Lida comes from like another prestigious school. His form, the way he casually presents himself is more like upperclassmen. Not at a condescending level, but just that he's very formal and kind of squarish too at the same time because he follows the rules and everything. Unlike Bakuga, who is actually like the complete opposite of him, is rebellious, overbearing, in your face kind of attitude. These two, but it's funny because they both with their both personalities that are very contradicting right there, they actually both made it to the top of the entrance exam. I believe Bakuga was number one, and Tenya Ida was not number two. I would say I think it was like in fifth place if I remember correctly. But the only reason was because but Tenya Lida was actually saving people at the same time. He wasn't necessarily just only going for the robots because Bakugo was actually his quirk, it expressed that it's mainly only for attacking, nothing else, absolutely nothing else. It's not meant for rescuing anybody or anything, and that's why he got a high score because his power is just destruction, explosions. You really can't see nobody with an explosion unless you're trying to like stop a brick wall falling on someone, but that's highly the case right there. But as the episode continues, yada yada yada, they're talking, having a normal like school conversation. Then comes in the most anticipated character in this series. I personally believe this guy is one of the strongest characters so far in Boku no Hero Academy. His name is Shuta Aizawa, the cram room teacher for the whole class that actually passed. Now his quirk is the reason I say it's the most powerful one is because his quirk actually erases or nullifies. I should say it's a better term I could say. It nullifies all the other person's quirks by all he has to do is just literally stare at somebody, and that's it. His quirk is that's it. You're no matter what quirk you have. If you're trying to spit out acid, if he just stares at you, you're just literally spitting out spit. Like that's just a little example of right there. But like I said, this guy is really strong too, as we can see because when he was introduced, like in all shonen characters, he was introduced, how would I say, like as a lazy person. He was sleeping in the hallway, sucking on like a Hawaiian punch of some sort. He comes out of a sleeping bag all nonchalantly. He's kind of like a little bit depressed too. He talks in a monotone as well. He's having the conversation with the kids and says, "Oh, come on, kids. Oh, before I forget, yada yada yada. Put these on. Oh my gosh, this is so boring." Like as if like if this is just like his not a day job, but like as if this is jail. You could say like that's how to me it looked like him. But like in every other, like I said, every other shonen manga, the most strongest person is always portrayed as a very lazy person. But it's kind of weird with the hero All Might. He's kind of uplifting, probably because he's supposed to represent an American style hero. Maybe that's why he's not really, I would say, lazy and laid back. Because I would say most Japanese characters, I would say like most famous ones like Bleach, One Piece, and Naruto, always the I would say not the strongest. I should say I would say more like like a like a very high class powerful person. They're always portrayed as like a very very relaxed person around weak people, you could say. And it kind of goes along with his nature too. He actually kind of reminded me of he literally reminded me of Shikamaru. Shikamaru mixed with Kakashi Sensei. That's his person. Like that's how he. It's like a blend right there. Like his attire even looks like a ninja attire as well. When he takes off I would say when he takes off like the bandages around his neck and everything, his eyes glow red, like as if he has like the Sharingan or something, and like the bandages around him kind of like envelop you, and that goes along with his quirk walk, like he's actually very like ninja like, it's so hilarious that like I feel like I'm serious that Kishimoto must have been this guy's inspiration. I am not BSing you. Just the way he portrayed himself, even his the way he attacked Midoriya during one of the during the practice physical exams, it just looks like he's a ninja right there. Like for a second there, all I could literally see him holding up like a hand sign and just like talking to him for a second. It's so hilarious. But moving on through, because this episode's not really just all about him. It's just focusing that like he's another part of the major characters that the author's actually trying to introduce this. He actually then also kind of, I would say the author is introducing more characters like slowly bit by bit, because the next characters that he introduces is Tsuya Asuya. It's Tsuya Asuya. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or wrong. And she's kind of like a frog woman. Then when we have, of course, Uraraka Ochaka, but that's her full name. Then we got Yugo Iogama. He was actually pretty funny in this episode. Actually in all the previous episodes as well that he came out in. Uh, Yugo, he has his quirk is actually a naval laser, and that's what's hilarious about it, because he implies like as if it like they implied as it's like a really strong quirk, but in reality it's just like a small little laser. But just the way that they represent him is like almost like a flamboyant boy, kind of like downgrades him a little bit, like, oh, hello, merci, this seems so tough right here, like, I'm just like here thinking like, man, this guy's like he's pretty flamboyant in this certain situation. He's a strong one, don't get me wrong. He was passing all the physical tests that I would say Aizawa that was kind of like putting out, because in this episode is also they're trying to explain that when they were in middle school they were not able to use their quirks, but now that they made it to UI, they're actually going to use their quirks to full potential, and they want to see where they're at. They want to see where they could be placed at, how their characteristics also places them with their quirks, which is pretty cool right there in a sense too, because they're kind of characterizing them, see how strong they are, what are their weaknesses, and it's kind of funny too because how do I say, Midoriya wasn't really like passing none of them. He was failing all. It doesn't matter what it was, running, jumping, like just any part of the physical test. He couldn't use any of his quirks, and he's trying, and and you could tell that every other person were kind of expecting him to actually use the quirk as well. you know and well, I can't forget, of course, you know there was another person that they also actually introduced, if I remember correctly. Oh, what was it uh there was somebody else, I forgot, but the point is, doesn't matter. There'll be more along the way. But as I was saying, while there was like this one part of the exam, if I remember correctly, Midoriya was actually going to, I would say, use his full potential to work, like as I previously stated. You know how in the previous episode, when he uses his quirk, he breaks his arm or fracture because he's using it at 100%. So in one of the physical exams that he was taking right there, he was gonna use it, and this was another opening call for the main character. It's another more character progression story part right here as well, because Aizawa was telling Midoriya that you can't always be relying on your power just to break yourself. Your power should be used properly. Like we can tell that you just recently just got this quirk. We can also see the fact that everything that you're doing is kind of like I would say, like he's half-assing it basically. That's what basically Isaac was telling Midoriya, and he was telling use it properly before you hurt yourself, because there's gonna be a certain situation in life that you're gonna have to be using your quirk to your full potential, but you know you're gonna have to run away or something along the lines of that. And and that was a wake up call for him, because think about it, he can't always be damaging himself just to do that, and that's just crazy. And then it's funny because Midoriya also kind of proves him wrong, kind of like a Naruto slash Kakashi Sensei moment right there, because I would say Midoriya kind of like he outsmarts him by saying instead of using his full arm, he only breaks his middle finger, and middle finger or index finger. I'm sorry, whichever one of the two. From what I remember, he throws the ball because they're supposed to like launch it with their quirk, launch a ball as far as possible with their own quirk. And when Midoriya threw it, I believe it went all the way to like 705 yards, and Aizawa and including All Might, they were both actually looking at themselves like, holy snap, he once again he proves us wrong that Midoriya really does stand out amongst the rest of the people, you know, and that's just pretty interesting in itself because everybody's quirks, they all know how to properly use it to their full potential. And you could tell me Riaz is kind of like a double-edged sword right there. Like it's too strong, but yet he knows he learned how to not learn. I wouldn't say learned. He just kind of proved the teacher that there's always alternative ways that I can do this. I'm not giving up. Like it's a Naruto moment. It's like I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up to your standards. I'll do this thing my own way. Like basically, that's pretty cool in a sense right there. And I can't begin to mention that All Might and Aizawa, they're both really they're both really different. Like All Might is like that, like I said, like he's that hyperactive, like generous guy, and Aizawa is just that like silent, laid back, in the shadows kind of thing. Like I'm telling you, like they're both contradicting each other right there in a sense. They even stated it in the episode as well that All Might doesn't really get along with him. They're friends, of course, but they just don't really get along right there. And excuse me, and that's what it's actually happening in this episode. But that's it about roughly around this episode. Like they were just basically just doing a physical exam, showing all their quirks, and which, by the way, it's perfect in a way. I'm telling you, like it's literally the tuning exams 2.0. I can't keep I can't I can't stop mentioning that because it's literally that. It's so in the beginning of the story, introducing all these main characters, and it feels like it's just the tuning exams all over again. I don't know if you guys like I said, if you guys don't see it that way, but I do, and it's pretty funny. But let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this episode. What did you guys think? Did you guys really think that Midoriya was gonna use his full arm right when before Aizawa was gonna he used his own quirk? And what do you guys think about Aizawa? Do you guys really think he's really like this badass character, or you guys think he's like a weak character too? Because in a sense, he kind of has that's his biggest flaw too, is by erasing other people's quirks. What do you guys think about him? Also, what do you guys think about the contradiction between Aizawa and the hero All Might? What do you guys think about that? But let me know in the comment section below, and if you guys enjoyed my videos, be sure to subscribe down there in the bottom section below as well. And this is Mr. Zen signing out. To another Boku No Hero Academy episode discussion. In today's episode, we're discussing episode 6, Rage, You Damn Nerd. Now, this episode was more along the lines of how do I say, anticipation episode, because the next episode is the one where all the action's going on. Like, because the last episode and half, well, yeah, about like half or majority of this episode is kind of leading up to like the bulk of Katsuki versus Midoriya. Literally, that's gonna be the next episode. But for now, in this episode, it's more of the building up informational episode right going on. Because the first episode, it begins with Katsuki. He attacks actually. Excuse me, pardon me, right there. He attacks Izuka right there, and you're here thinking like, holy snap, he freaking Katsuki's actually attacking him right there in front of the whole class, right in front of the teacher Aizawa, and you're here thinking like, what the heck, man? The teachers don't even do nothing about it. But no, actually Aizawa actually stepped in. He stopped him with his own quirk, and that's when they actually finally reveal his quirk was his quirk was erased, and it nullifies all the stuff like I previously mentioned in the last episode. Just nullifies anybody's quirk. So that way when supervising that little scene, everybody's just looking at him. And it's funny because when they kind of showed Aizawa's quirk right there, he looked like as if he was going like a Sharingan mode. I swear, it was so hilarious. Like it just all the Naruto references that they always put it in this show is so hilarious. And like his eyes glowed red. Like there was like an aurora coming out. The bandages were just like enveloping around Aizawa. You're just like, man, Jesus, man. like straight up Itachi-san right there, man, or freaking an Uchiha clan at least member right there. But that's not the whole point of the episode, because they were just kind of emphasis right there the fact that that's how like the episode begins with that Katsuki is trying to he's kind of getting jealous of the fact that Deku is actually leaving him behind, as you can clearly see. Katsuki just doesn't give a damn about anything anymore. He wants to beat him up, but he can't do it because it's like this all this anger and frustration that's just building up inside of him. And you're kind of thinking like, man, what's the deal with him, man? Do you want him to be, like at the bottom of the tier of the class? Like, do you want to see yourself always as the number one? It's kind of like a macho pride thing going on with Katsuki right there, because in reality, Katsuki, like his personality has always been an exploding, really outgoing, like in your face kind of attitude. And in this episode, it kind of emphasized the fact that Katsuki's he's just fed up with it. He's fed up with Deku, and he doesn't want to take it. He doesn't want no more surprises, because in his mind, you can kind of clearly see that Deku is kind of this is a speculation of what Katsuki's probably thinking, is that from his side it kind of makes it look like he's inferior, like it's saying that, oh, I'm not gonna fight you because you're not worthy, or something. Like it's just making him look like he's condescending him in a matter of fact, through Katsuki's eyes. It's just like he's just being condescended, and which I think it kind of does look like that in a sense, that if someone's condescending you, you would be pissed off too. Like why would you be like treating me that way? Like as if I'm like just like someone that's not standing on your own 2 feet. And that's kind of sense kind of makes sense why Katsuki is kind of angry at Deku right there. And but it's funny because at the same time Deku is he's really just being a wimp, but just because he just basically got his new powers and he's kind of showcasing in front of everybody, it just looks like a glamorous kind of aspect towards him. He's becoming literally the top of the class in such a success that it's making Katsuki just look like nothing now. Even though Katsuki has like I would say the strongest attacking quirk, like I would say for offensive purposes, yes. Out of all the other students, yes, it just looks like he has the strongest attacking one. But because of Deku's one for all, it's kind of making his look like it's an inferior quirk right there. Now that's why I feel like that build up in its sense is kind of also leading to the fact that like I feel like later on as the series progresses, I feel like that these two are literally going to be like the fated Naruto and Sasuke rivals. Like I swear you can clearly see that these two are just at each other, or I should say it's more of a one-sided battle. It's just that Katsuki just really hates the Gus, just pure jealousy, hatred of his succession, and he just wants him to be below him. It's a macho pride thing, like I said before. But continuing on, the story kind of continues like with just a little bit of small banter, a little bit now and then. I kind of like the fact that there's a scene where Midoriya, he actually now makes friends with Tenya and Uraraka, and they're like they're not considered friends. But it's funny when what's her face Uraraka comes up and says, "Oh, hello Deku," and I kind of found that funny because Midoriya even like explains it like oh why are you calling me that and he explains to her like saying like that's it's actually an insult that you're basically saying because that's what Katsuki calls me as a way of just like downplaying me, and I'm here laughing like, oh man. She didn't know what she was doing, but it's kind of cute because she said it in her own way that that's not what I'm really trying to say. What I'm trying to say is more like you're that name Deku kind of stands more of like of you can do it attitude, and that's just funny because then freaking Midoriya actually then says, "Oh, okay, then call me Deku then." And Tenya's at the side of the conversation at the same time, and you're here wondering like, "Holy snap!" You're being like you're being really pussy with her. This girl better be worth it, man. Like it's just so funny that like Tenya just like don't give in, man. Just stick with your own name, man. Have some morals for Pete's sake. You could tell that's what was going on to Tenya's mind when he was just here overhearing this conversation with Uraraka and Midoriya right there. I don't know. I found that conversation pretty funny. I don't know if any of you guys also got the joke that they kind of referenced right there with the Copernicus revolution. That was I kind of find that funny when he kind of mentions like, oh wow, this the author really is kind of throwing out like some like adult. I want to say adult comic, but like some science jokes right there, you could say, because the Copernicus revolution is basically like the Earth revolving around all the planets and everything being the center instead of the sun being the center of the universe, and yada yada yada. You guys can all Google that too if you guys want. But continuing on, then the episode continues in from where now it's switching into like more of an action paced scene. Like I said, it's all building up. All of this episode is just pure build up, like I said before. And from there on, you literally see that All Might now is one of the also another homeroom teachers that they have in battle tactics and just like be in basic hero training. And it's funny because everybody's all odd at him, and then like Midoriya is just like just doing his own thing, and everybody's odd. And I believe Tsuya mentions like All Might's costume was from like the Silver Age of comics, if I remember correctly, and that's pretty funny right there. It's probably like mentioning like like in like an American style kind of costume, and like I said, like even the Japanese people are kind of like they noticed that too in the world right there in itself, which is I thought that was pretty kind of little humorous too. Those little references that they kind of keep cueing in there. I think that's pretty cute and funny right there. But continuing on, yes, and then I'm sorry, but I forgot to mention that like they actually finally show every hero's like battle suits, you could say, and that was actually pretty intense. That's what I was kind of like hoping for this episode is how they were gonna like play that scene right there when everybody is getting ready to go into like All Might's like hero training course. Because what All Might does in this episode is he's basically gonna be putting off all the teams. It's gonna be like a villain and a hero like like teams matchup. It's like pretending like putting them in like in a real life scenario case right there, and that's pretty cool right there in a sense because he's kind of teaching them how to have that villain mentality at the same time. But you know before all that stuff is happening right there, they actually put on their suits before they head into action. And what's funny is because when everybody came out of their suits, it looked like something off of like a how do I say like a Jackass theme thing going on, or like the I don't know if you guys see Captain America Civil War, like the superhero lineup that they all like that every superhero does. That was so hilarious. Like they even put like a little cool little rap song right there going on. That was when they were walking by, which I thought that was pretty cool in a sense. And it's funny because the only one that like I feel like the only one that really stood out in a sense to me was Tenya's costume. Tenya's costume was the only one that stood out to me because of the fact that it actually reminds me of a Super Sentai costume. And you're wondering like that's pretty funny. Like out of all, because all the other students' costumes, they're all more like jumpsuits, or their face showing just with like a little mask, like kind of like Americanized. While Tenya's costume, he kind of encloaks himself in like a pure like I would say like armor plated suit, and the only one that kind of recognized him I would say was Midoriya in that little scene. And it's funny because at the same fact that like Super Sentai is a is a Japanese themed superhero series, and I'm like here thinking like man like look, all these little references that they keep putting on is just like I said is just hilarious at the fact that they keep doing that kind of stuff. But and I like the fact that Tenny's costume is actually pretty cool. It kind of focuses on his since how his quirk is actually engine. The the suit actually helps him like look more realistically, more like I would say like a robot too at the same time. So that's what I kind of like the fact that it kind of goes along with his quirk ability too. Yeah, the engine quirk. I don't know about all you guys, but I thought that's the only costume that kind of stood out for me. It goes along with his quirk too. But I mean Batsuki's Bakugo's costume, eh, kind of reminded me more of I would say like something out from like a Mega Man series. That's what it kind of reminded me of right there in that sense. Just reminded me of like something off of Mega Man or like like because that they're trying to he had like two giant grenade looking like like fixtures you could say on his arms, and that's pretty cool in a sense, but just like I didn't like the fact that they kind of gave him like an explosion like little cap on the back of his head. I didn't really like that. I mean, if they take that off, it would look better. Like it would look more, probably like more villainly look. Like, cause that's what Bakugo's costume literally out of all of them looks more like a villain costume than a hero costume. Like I said, like all their costumes look like like they all represent their quirks. And let's not forget the guy with the naval laser. Holy snap! I swear, I feel like he's the Cyclops of that universe. He's the Cyclops, but like a gay Cyclops, because of the way that like I said, he's kind of like flamboyant at times right there, and I find it funny because his costume is like it makes him look like it makes him look like a knight. That's pretty cool. You know, his costume is pretty cool. That like it makes him look like a little I would say like a little British knight. But it's just you know, you can't really take him that as serious, just the way that his personality is. I'm sorry, it's just, you know, he's a force to be reckoned. Don't get me wrong. This guy's a force to be reckoned. He has a laser. I mean, come on. Look at Cyclops in the X-Men universe. See, you know, he's a force to be reckoned. That's why I said with a little more training, I could see that character becoming like one of the top classes. But just because I feel like he's more on the comical side, I feel like maybe that's why they're kind of putting him on the side. But continuing on, in this episode also, like I said before, you know, like they said that All Might was splitting them into two teams. You know, you're here wondering like, oh, okay, so who's gonna be the first one up? And yes, it's actually Katsuki teamed up with Uraraka against Tenya, and I'm sorry, did I say Katsuki? I'm sorry, Midoriya versus Uraraka. Did I say? That's third time's the charm, folks. My mistake. Midoriya and Uraraka versus Tenya and Katsuki. There you go. I'm sorry about that, folks. You know, and you're here at the fact that, you know, like that's a pretty interesting matchup because Tenya and Katsuki's quirks, they're like, you know, one of the top of the classes, versus, you know, Uraraka's, you know, gravity specialization that like she has, and I would say, you know, Midoriya's one for all quirk. That's an interesting matchup right there in a sense, and that could span off for like another 2 episodes too, because if I remember correctly, from reading the manga, like, you know, the action scenes were pretty intense when you're reading it, so you know, expect a lot of action in the next episode as well. Also, the fact that, you know, their goal is to, I would say, retrieve a fake nuclear bomb for their mission. So, judging at the fact that these characters are gonna have a hard time as well, because, you know, Tenya is he's pretty fast, and he's not gonna let down. So you know for sure that these characters are in for a rough fight. But you gotta remember that this is also like a little, they're throwing some comical spoof, so you know for sure that this fight is also gonna have a little comical side in a sense. But speaking of that, you know, I like the way that they kind of entered that first scene right there and then, when I swear, when Bakugo makes the first move against those two, you literally see that he does a sneak attack, and the minute that he does that, I swear, it literally reminds me. I'm telling you, it was like a Mega Man fight. I swear it was a Mega fight. Because, you know, you see Midoriya's costume. He looks like a little bunny. You know, like he just looks. His costume's like a cute little thing going on right there. You know, it looks like a little big ears. You know, big giant smile. You know, of course, this Midoriya's costume is supposed to represent, you know, the hero All Might's, you know, costume, you could say, but in like a more comical sense, which is kind of hilarious because his mother made that costume, which I kind of personally find that, like, you know, that's very sweet. But he said he likes the fact that his mother made it. You know, that's cool in a sense, but, you know, he could have done a little bit better, to be honest, in my opinion. But continuing on, yeah, like I said, that this fight was more like a Mega Man kind of scene going on, because, you know, right there and then, this is where Midoriya literally steps up against Bakugo, because of the fact that, you know, he's gonna finally show off his skill and say, you know what, like, I'm done, you know, taking your attacks on me, you know. And he actually defends himself and throws Bakugo with a slam, grabs his arm and slams into the ground. And you're here wondering like, holy snap, this is intense. Like, this episode's getting intense now. And now you know, you can't wait for the next episode right there in itself, because the fact that these two are going to have a fated rival fight, or the first actual rival fight of the whole entire series, you know. But that's it for the episode, because that's where it kind of leaves off right there in itself. Right there, these guys are just going to start squaring off against each other. one-on-one, winner take all. And by the way, these guys can go all out because All Might literally specifically said, "Don't be afraid to hold back." So that's how you know for sure this fight's gonna be for the first school fight, you could say, right there in a sense. But let me know in the comments of what you guys think about all the costumes that the heroes came out, and what was your favorite costume as well. But stay tuned for the next episode, and this is Mr. Zen signing out. Welcome, YouTubers, to another Boku No Hero Academy episode review. In this episode, we're going to talk about episode 7, Deku versus Kachan. And this episode, now I gotta tell you, whew, this episode finally gave everybody's chance to see Deku versus Kachan's fight finally animated. Woo-wee. And I gotta say, this episode was done nicely, and it was done perfect right there. You know, everybody was anticipating for like a whole entire week, and now we finally got to see it. And personally, in my opinion, this fight was, it was like 50-50. It was showing between Deku and Kachan's past, and then like the rest of the other episode, which is basically them actually focusing on the task at hand. At first, we see Katsuki actually, it's like the episode mostly focuses all about him. That's what you're going to be mostly looking at. It's not going to be about Midoriya or Uraraka or Tenya. No. It's literally all about Katsuki. And that's what it is. It's basically Katsuki's resolve to defeat Midoriya, and it's so hilarious because throughout the whole entire episode, you're not really looking at that. You're really looking at it as like, oh, you're actually looking at it as like, they have to win this mission that All Might has given them. But in reality, Katsuki, and throughout his own eyes, he's actually looking at this as in, I have to beat Deku. I have to show him that, I'm the man. I'm the stronger person. I'm sorry, but it's just that because when they were showing that Deku and Kachan's past, they were showing that you kind of see why Katsuki actually has that resolve in itself to prove to Deku that why he's just not as strong as he is, because you can kind of see in the past that Katsuki throughout the whole entire childhood, he actually has been almost promoted, you could say. He's been getting glamour, he's been getting praises. People have been telling him, Katsuki, you're so cool, you're so this, and Deku's always been, how do I say, like the class clown, and he kind of used that as his scapegoat for basically saying that I'm the best. I'm gonna use you. It's kind of like a school. It's kind of like a high school thing, or like a middle school thing where you pick on the class clown and you become the cool kid. You know, that's cool and all, but in this case, since they're like a little older now, in this case right here, we kind of clearly get to see that Katsuki is now not being, like, I would say, the most popular one. Instead, well, he is popular in a sense in this episode, or in the whole entire school, since he has the strongest quirk, but more in a sense that it's more of that Deku is becoming slowly more popular than him because of his not in his ability not to use his quirk. That's what makes the Midoriya right there in itself more amazing, is because he's not using any quirk and he still stands above the rest, and that's what kind of shows it off. And all he has to do is just use his, and it's funny because I like the fact that Midoriya only uses his quirk in every episode at least once, or like he doesn't showcase it a lot, and that's what's hilarious, that, and then he becomes on top of the class right there in every single time he proves himself. He's just proving to everybody that you know that not that it also takes brains and over bronze in order to stand over trial. Because throughout this episode, in the fight, we actually clearly see that you know Kachan is actually he's actually gaining the upper hand against Midoriya. Not gonna lie to you, he actually was. And it's hilarious because when you're looking at this fight, you're actually thinking like Midoriya he really is gonna lose. Midoriya is actually going to lose because of the fact that Kachan is going on the offensive all throughout the whole entire time. He even actually used his own signature technique in this fight, which I thought that was actually pretty cool when it was animated. I'm pretty sure all of you enjoyed the fact that they actually also focused on how I would say Katsuki's quirk is actually used. He actually uses nitroglycerin in his palms, and then he actually like stores it in like one of the shells that he has around his arms, and just releases it like a grenade. Now that was pretty intense. See, that would have been an ultimate finisher move right there. So if he used it at the end instead of using it in the beginning, because when he used it, it was more of the case that like he's just trying to use it as an intimidation and fear for Midoriya. Now Midoriya in this case, we actually see that it's not working. So that's what's happening in this episode, that Katsuki can't use his own way. He's not gaining his own way. He's always using intimidation and fear and power, and it's not working because Midoriya now is actually standing up for himself, and is actually proving to him that you're not as scary as you think you are. And that's what's really great about this episode, is the fact that this episode was more of a mind game as well with Midoriya and Katsuki, because when you look at it in the long run, you actually see Midoriya actually he's actually more strong-willed than Katsuki. Katsuki has a strong physical body, yes, he does, but his mind is not as strong, and that's what we see these in the two differences right there. Midoriya he has a strong mental fortitude, yet Katsuki is just like a knucklehead. Is just he only has one mission in mind. That's it, and he'll like lay it out. He's kind of like a little child. You just that's just throwing a tantrum throughout this whole entire episode. Now, we actually see later on in the episode that even All Might also distinguishes that Katsuki actually has like a villainous personality, you could say. But even All Might also, he kind of focuses on the fact that it's very distinguishable, but it's very thin. He's on a borderline thin line where he can also be a villain as well, because throughout the whole entire fight, Katsuki was going, oh, I'm gonna use my attack. I'm only gonna lower the power just a little so I won't hurt you, and so forth and so forth. And you're here wondering, like Katsuki is being careful, but at the same time, his sanity is also like it's almost gone too. At the same time, there's gonna be a time and a place where he's gonna lose that. And like I said before, Midoriya is mentally stronger than Katsuki, and in this episode clearly showed that in itself. Now, throughout the fight, we actually see Tenya and Uraraka's fight as well. Now that fight was actually very comical in a sense. It wasn't as serious as Katsuki's and Midoriya's fight. Uraraka's and Tenya's fight, that was more comical because in the way that they kind of showcased it was, Tenya was actually trying to act more villain, but you can see that the way that he showcased himself was kind of like a stereotypical villain, like a Sentai warrior villain. That's what makes me laugh. It's just the way that they actually did that. It was so hilarious at the fact that he's laughing at the top of his lungs, you know, and Uraraka even laughs at the fact too that wow, I can't believe he's actually taking this really seriously. Like it's just so. I'm sorry, but just the way that when I saw that little scene right there, it kind of made me chuckle there. I'm pretty sure all of you chuckled there as well. Now, Tanya, personality is a serious one. That's why you kind of took this whole fight seriously. But Uraraka, her quirk is gravity, right? So she really couldn't do nothing throughout the whole entire fight. So what basically Midoriya had in mind kind of flipped the table, and that's what I like about this episode too. That you actually see that again with Midoriya actually using his brain instead of bronze. Actually, he showcased both of them. My mistake. He used both of them all in one go instead of using one individual thing, because he actually formulated a plan in order for them to win, and that was basically to use the One for All's ability and like punch all the way through the roof and make a hole throughout the whole entire like building, and you literally see Katsuki just like amazed and in awe that this actually happened. And when the minute that he created a giant explosion upwards, you actually see that it gave a chance to Uraraka actually grab the machine. Now that was pretty, like I love the way that they actually had perfect teamwork in a sense right there. Throughout, like I said, they were in control. In reality, when you look at this, Tenya and Katsuki, they weren't in control throughout this whole entire fight. To me, it looked like they were playing again in the palm of Midoriya's hands. and that's what's great. That's like I tell you that Midoriya is mentally stronger than him. I'm gonna keep saying that over and over again because this episode clearly showed that. And it's funny at the fact that if the tables were turned, if Tenya actually was used instead of Katsuki, they actually would have won if you think about it. Because if I in the earlier episode scene, you actually see Midoriya take out a capture tape or something like that. It all they have to do if they use that to capture tape, they would Katsuki would have won. That's it. This episode would have been done, and they would have moved on to another one. But because of Katsuki's pride, he wants to showcase Deku. He he lost, and it was basically Katsuki's own pride that brought him to his own demise. And I'm surprised Tenya didn't even see that as well, which I kind of found that odd in a sense. You know, Tenya didn't like he actually should have been on the floor, and it would have been perfect. But I'm guessing it's probably because he probably saw that Katsuki and Midoriya had a thing going on. He probably wanted to stay out of that. Maybe that's why Tenya didn't really like get into that fight because it's like a little right a sibling rivalry right there going on. That maybe that's why Tenya was backed off, and he's like, you know what, I'll stay back and let you guys handle it. And which I like I said, Tenya is actually a smarter person than it looks. So there's always a reason behind Tenya's plans. But like I said, this episode was great and all. And let me know what you guys think about this episode because damn, I was left in awe. Throughout this whole entire episode, man, I was waiting for a whole entire week. I'm just like, when is the next episode gonna come out? When is the next episode gonna come out? But this was actually great. But let me know what you guys think about this episode. I personally enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the whole entire animation that they actually done for this whole episode. You actually get to see how great the explosion was. You actually get to see the vibrant colors that when it showcase Katsuki's bomb attack. It's just great in a sense right there. This episode is slowly paced, but it's paced in a good sense. But like I said, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this episode. What was your favorite scene as well? But also don't forget, if you guys enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe. This is Mr. Zen signing out. YouTubers, this is Mr. Zen over here with another Boku No Hero Academy episode 8. Holy snap, I was kind of waiting this week for another episode, but this episode was more along the line as another informational, kind of almost like a filler episode too at the same time, because nothing much really happened, but it was more of another introductory characterization for the whole classmates right there in itself. Because throughout the whole entire episode, you're kind of looking at Bakugo's little own story arc with Midoriya, and then you're here, and then they actually introduce the other characters that are also in Class A. But the thing is, I like about this episode is that I like the fact that they actually did something at the end of the video, though. That was pretty intense. Now, not gonna talk about that right now yet. First, I'm gonna talk about Bakugo, though. Now, with Bakugo, in the beginning episode, of course, we last leave off with him facing off against Midoriya, and Midoriya uses his One for All's power that launches the entire, I swear, he causes the whole place to crash upon both of them. And what I like about that is the fact that Midoriya did think really quickly on that, but like they showcased in the episode that that attack was pretty rash in itself, and that it could have caused more sustainable damage to the heroes and villains at the same time. Same with Bakugo. He actually could have hurt all the other people as well. And you're here wondering, like, holy snap, at the same time, you kind of forgot about that. Even though it's a mock training exam, of course, gotta remember the fact that it's not the object is to get hurt at the same time. You're trying to win, but without hurting each other. In the safest possible route, because the hero is also trying to save people with the least amount of damage throughout the whole entire surroundings. But because these guys were just kind of using it as an excuse to just basically go out and on a brawl right there, they kind of use that in itself, And that's what I like about Bakugo in itself, is that he actually, when he was facing off against Midoriya, he actually now noticed that he himself was actually noticing his own weaknesses too in this episode, because this episode focused on Bakugo as well. And in this episode, you kind of see that Bakugo now, he is entirely just jaw dropped and awestruck that Midoriya can actually beat him. He took that into consideration. Even at the end of the episode, you kind of see that Bakugo just says that he actually looking at him as an equal now. Because of that, he's actually now gonna go train, and he's gonna try to make himself feel or actually improve himself better towards Midoriya. And at the same time, you see Midoriya also saying the fact that that of course that even he himself is gonna try to get better than Bakugo. So these two are literally like the faded rivals of the series, and they're both helping. They're actually both helping each other out to improve themselves. That's what I like about these two. They're helping each other out in their own ways, of course. Of course, Bakugo's is more of a prideful thing, and Midoriya's is more like, I would say it's more like a self determination, saying that he's using Bakugo as like a stepping stool. I'm sorry, a stepping stool. So you can say that he's the one friend that I should be in equal terms with. But unlike Bakugo saying that his is more like, oh snap, I'm weak. I can't believe that I should be number one instead of him. Like he's downplaying himself as in his own way of saying that I'm too weak right now. I need to get better. I need to get stronger. And he even told him all, which I found funny, that he told Alma himself that I can't believe that as a hero he's actually gonna try to beat him as well. Right in front of his face, it's kind of talking smack to him, and even Alma was just like, wow, he's the most prideful guy out of the whole entire class. But Bakugo, he's a lovable character that we all enjoy, and that's what's great about his characterization in this entire episode, is the fact that he's actually able to notice his weaknesses and is not falling into prey into, like, I would say, the dark side. I would say, because you got to remember correctly, I believe Bakugo is almost similarly based on the Sasuke and Naruto rivalry, but these two rivalries are very different in itself as well, because of the fact that Bakugo is more of like, he's not an antagonist, as you could say. He's still a primary protagonist in this characterization arc. Now, in the later half of the episode, of course, we actually see the fact that they actually introduce all the other Class A characters and their powers, and they showcase some very important characters like Shoto with his half ice, half fire, which is, I mean, half cold, half hot, whatever the F they freaking mentioned it, which we all know is basically fire and ice just blended together in one body. And I thought that was pretty cool in itself. That's one of the, I feel like his quirk is one of the quirks that has the most amazing combat abilities and defensive abilities at the same time. This character in itself is going to be, I would say, he's going to be another stepping stool towards Midoriya, because if I remember correctly, he's one of the another major important character that in the later parts of the chapters and episodes of the storyline in itself, right there, if I remember correctly. But this guy, he even stopped the fight in like a matter of like maybe less than 10 minutes. I know they have 15 minutes, but like, just to showcasing the fact that how powerful he was against another one of his classmates. He actually just froze the whole entire place, and he said, "Oh, the difference in strength between us is too overwhelming that there's nothing you can do." And he used that. It was like he showed that it was like a psychological battle in itself, right there in itself too. That he kind of showed them without even, he didn't even hurt them. He just kind of just froze their legs in place and showed them, saying that they just be careful what your next step is gonna be. And he touched the thing and they won. And I'm like, wow. And they even showed if I remember, I forgot his name. It was his quirk that it's like tentacle arms, and he was if I remember correctly, like he had like eyes and mouths at the back of his. Oh, it was Mezo Shoji, whatever. Yeah, if I'm pronouncing it right, Mezo Shoji. Now this guy looks like a tank. This guy's a tank in itself, man. When I saw this guy, holy snap, man! This guy looks like a beautiful. I thought his quirk at the same time was gonna be like like from Ben 10, like kind of like forearms and strength, but no, his quirk is basically just that his arms can like self duplicate body parts, you could say, that, which I think that's pretty cool in itself, because if someone chops one of his arms, he can just grow another one back, and that itself is pretty cool. And it showed a lot of other characters, Oh, and I remember in itself that when they were showcasing these characters, they're kind of giving you hints. They didn't really say that many names, but we already know like who they all are if we all like Google them and all everything, of course, But like I said though, and they actually showed one of my favorite characters of the whole entire series now, Fumikage Tokoyami. That fool is intense. I love the way they introduced him in his with his quirk. It's a shadow ability quirk. The way that he just, it was just so, it was something like off of Batman. So I feel like this guy's literally he's literally like the embodiment of Batman right there. Like the way he came in, the cape showcasing him, like just a little bit of like, I would say sunlight. I don't think it was moonlight. I think it was sunlight right there. And it was still daytime. And then you just literally see his cloak envelop, like it just like opens just a little bit, and you see like his shadow hands come out with Atsuya, if I remember correctly, Tsuya, if I'm mispronouncing your name, and she's right there with, like helping out. If I remember correctly, these two are also, Tsuya is also another person that's with her quirk is like I remember her frog quirk that like gives her frog traits and everything, like swim and everything, and that these two wonderfully work together. And I think they probably might have won that little battle against I think his name was Hanta Seto versus Kirishima. Those two, holy snap, they're also amazing as well. Like I'm loving the fact that that all the characters in this arc are like I like how they're being introduced, how they're showcasing their quirks. Each and every one of them's quirk is amazing in itself. It's just how they're showcasing it too. You know, but that was basically just like right there in the middle of the episode, just like they're just showcasing a lot of other people's, and at the same time, respect for Midoriya, because in this episode you kind of see the fact that all the other classmates now respect Midoriya now. They are in total awe of him. They're just loving the fact that Midoriya is standing up for himself. He's literally becoming one of, like I said before in one of my previous videos, that he's becoming the top. He's becoming the top of the class right now. And that's what's great about him, is that he's literally just trying his best, and it's really showcasing that, because all the other people like really are loving Midoriya now, and they're respecting on the terms that I remember I think Hantasero said that he wanted to train with him too, and so did Kirishima, if I remember correctly. They just wanted, they want to like start kicking with him, and that's just great. There wasn't that much comedy in this entire episode too at the same time. Just a little bit of comedy with a little bit of All Might and Tenya Lita. Tenya Lita, throw this whole, like, he's one of the most amazing people. But I like the fact that they're using him throughout the whole entire series as like a comedic person. He has like the fastest of big kind. He's kind of like the Quicksilver of this series, and yet he's just like he's just a comedic duo. Like he's like the Flash. I don't want to say the Flash, sort of. But they're just using it for comedic effects throughout the whole entire series. Like he told his like classmates that, respect the desk, get off the seat, Fumikage. Our respected elders were once sitting on this. These are like our grand memorables for remembering these people. I'm just like here thinking, like, that's one way of looking at it. That really is one way of looking at it, but just that the fact that who really cares? It's just a seat, though. At the same time, it's just a seat. And I like the fact that all these characters at the same time, when they're being introduced, they're all still showcased as teenagers too at the same time. Dude, let's not forget that. Because sorry, excuse me. When you actually see these characters, you see that they're all enjoying themselves, and they're all following it rule by rule. And the only people that really didn't follow the rules was Midoriya and Bakugo. Only those two are the only ones that I would say necessarily didn't follow the rules, and that's all showcasing that they're really different from the other characters as well, because of the fact that they didn't listen to the rules. They're doing everything on their own. They're stubborn, and that's gonna set them apart from the other characters as well. And let's not forget also the fact that I love how Uraraka was actually showcasing it's a fated battle between men, a fated battle, and that's what I like about that. Even the women of the class are actually noticing that these two are gonna clash heads. All the other classmates are noticing that, and that's what, I thought that was a little bit funny of the whole entire episode right there. But now at the end of the episode, we actually see the villains. Yes, the freaking villains of the whole entire series are finally coming out. We actually see Kurogiri, the shadowy looking person. We see Tomuda Shigaraki. We actually see him, the one with all the giant hands on them. I'm kind of excited because these villains are like they're basically the Orochimaru and and how do I say it? Like Madara of the whole entire series. I won't say Madara, but just like give me like they're like the first major villains of the whole entire series, and on so on forth, you know. And these characters are also they're in itself they're pretty strong. I forgot what kind of abilities they have, but I know for sure that they're like pro villains, you could say. They're like the pro villains that even All Might has some trouble later on facing off them against them. And and I love the fact that how they kind of showcase him in the bar. It's weird like how in every like anime or showcase they always introduce villains in a bar. It's like some nice guys go to the bars too. It's like Jesus, man. Why does everybody have to be at a bar and be like, okay, I'm a villain just because I'm at a bar? Like I never understood that at the fact. That's just one. This is one thing but I still found that funny. But just like the fact. Oh, and they also show Nomu or Nemu. I don't know how they're gonna pronounce it. Now that it was like this like kind of creature with like some like the brain showing. He was kind of shown right there at the side. He didn't say anything because I don't know if I remember correctly if he speaks or not, but he's another part of the major villain alliance that's gonna come up, and that's what I like the fact this episode is just it basically teased us at the end of the next arc that's gonna come in. But that was it for the entire episode. I love the fact that how they showcased the episode. It was like I said, it was almost a filler episode, but at the same time, you know, it's still a good episode. They're just slowly introducing the characters. They're building up the plot around all these characters and stuff. But let me know what you guys think about this episode. I thought this episode was still great. It's another episode that's still worth enjoying watching. But what was your favorite? Little mini hero that you could say that was in there? Like I said, mine was Fumikawa Tokoyami. Best one. I love him. Sorry guys, that shadow ability quirk just amazes me. And also, what do you guys think of the villains that they're going to be facing now? What do you guys think? What are your thoughts and speculations on these villains that they're going to be coming on forth? But this is Mr. Zen signing out. Welcome, YouTubers, to another Boku No Hero Academy episode. We're going to be talking about episode 9, and holy snap! We are finally getting introduced to the major villains of the whole entire series. Holy snap. I've been waiting now for this episode. And, a lot of people are also going to hate at this episode because this episode was kind of fairly slow, but it's because of the transition, from the previous episode where it actually was jumping from a full-on action scene, Deku versus Katsuki, and then we're just transferring on to another major arc. And this time we're going to the USJ major arc. And holy snap, Tomuro Shigaraki is finally here. Man, this guy just spells bad for business. Holy snap. This guy is literally like the pain of like Naruto. This guy is literally top tier villain-esque in this whole entire series. Holy snap. This is gonna be amazing now. This villain scene is gonna be amazing because I don't want to spoil too much for all you fans that are barely new into the series because I kind of spoiled myself for going on reading a couple more chapters. But the fact that what we're gonna see is that, oh man, basically all the kids now are gonna be fighting into their own first major battle. Yes, their first villain battle. All these kids, or you could tell these kids are going to get some character progression from here on out. Like I said, the story is really picking up the pace. And it's really just going straight towards the plot. Fighting, fighting, fighting. Like I said, it's amazing how fast the author quickly wanted to get. I personally thought that this whole episode was going to be... This episode and the next episode was actually going to be more of a filler episode. But no. No, it's not. No filler. Completely straight to the point. Just like in the manga. Head straight to fighting. And that's it. Only get rid of all that emotional drama over and then just go back to straight up fighting fists. Now, of course, in the beginning of the episode, we were actually focused on Tenya's leadership skills, you could say, or because if I remember correctly, they were actually talking about who's going to become the homeroom teacher, who's gonna who's gonna become the, like I would say, the head of the class in order to lead them into the right path, or at least for schoolwork activities. That typical generic high school life, that they need a class president in order just to help them sort out their activities and everything, such and such. And who else possibly better could have been than Tenya Lita? And of course, he actually even rose. At first, he didn't rise to the task, of course, because he was I wouldn't say he was shy. It's just that he felt that Izuka was more of a person for the task. But Izuka, he personally doesn't feel like it, because of the fact that he's not like that. He's not the one. He's not the type of person to be out there presenting himself in front of the whole class. Izuka kind of more works more behind the scenes. That's why Izuka kind of mentioned the fact that yes, I like he is smart in his own terms. He is outgoing. But in his own terms. But it's just that he feels that Tanya Lita is more better for the task at hand, because Tanya Lita actually he's more serious and cares more deeply, and he's more passionate more than just Izuka. Izuka's just more on the side, and just saying like, I'll support you, but I'm not a leader. I'm just more of a follower. But I'll be a leader when the time comes. But in this case, it's more of Tanya's little scene right here. And that's what I like about the fact that that Tanya and Izuka's friendship right there are actually it keeps growing. You could tell that these two are really going to be the best friends of this series. It's not strictly to say a rivalry between these two characters. It's more like I would say it's like bros. Just like I would say like Shikamaru and Naruto. Think of it something like that along the lines. They're just bros right there in itself, and they each have their own personalities where they best at what they can. And Tenulita was personally best at leading people in the classroom for school activities, you could say. Now, that was most of the majority of the episode, was the fact that they were kind of focusing on who was becoming the homeroom teacher. But they did showcase a little bit of how the school system and the defensive capabilities that they could show. Apparently, if there's an intruder, they have rules and guidelines for doing all this kind of stuff. But you look at the fact that of course this school is state of the art, and they would have you would think that there would be a little bit more teachers around as well, or probably at least teasers with some more teachers that we haven't actually seen. But so far we only seen the principal, Aizawa, um, who else? And President Mike, if I remember correctly. And All Might, of course. But so far, that's about it. There's not that many. Well, of course, and a cafeteria hero. But there's not that many heroes that they've shown so far. Maybe in the next couple episodes, they might show who actually might be the more teachers, like you could say, that are along the line. Now, we actually did get introduced to another new teacher. They're slowly teasing us at these pro teachers right here. They're pro heroes as well. You gotta remember the fact that these teachers are pro heroes. And we got introduced to number 13. I believe that's her name. I would say her. Yeah, I would say it's the name, number 13. But with this character, now I thought when I read the chapter, I thought it was a he. But when they introduced her, it had a little high pitched voice. She was very sweet. As you could say, I'm liking this, in fact. Or maybe it's just a young male. You couldn't tell, but you could tell the voice was a female, though. I'll tell you that much. Because maybe when I was reading it, you really weren't focusing on if it was a male or female. But clearly here, when you hear the voice, it's clearly a female. Now, what I liked about the fact in number 13 is that they even showed her quirk, and it was black hole. Now that in itself sounds like a very powerful quirk, but the way that they kind of seem is that as if it's just any other regular quirk. When I personally think of a black hole, that's freaking dangerous. That's extremely dangerous. But apparently not. Apparently it's just another small quirk, kind of like Uraraka's gravity quirk. That the gravity quirk itself is pretty strong as well. But I'm not gonna digress and go on to all that kind of good stuff right there, as I could say. But like I said, black hole does sound like an interesting, powerful quirk right there. But 13, you are becoming a really cool character. I'll tell you that much. We don't know too much about the character right now so far. It's just the fact that it just has black hole and can disintegrate out any kind of stuff right there. But she's the type of teacher who's gonna teach these kids, as you can see, more on how to use their quirks more effectively in rescuing people instead of using it for offense. Which is kind of interesting, the fact that because the fact that the number 13 teacher quirk's ability is more of like a very destructive quirk. So that's how you know that her quirk is very controlled right there. And that's what the kids are gonna learn that so far in this arc is control and patience. And that's what I'm liking about this. I'm telling you, I like how they're setting up the stage for these couple episodes. If I remember correctly, I think there's only gonna be like 13 episodes in total as well. So, man, can't wait for season 2 though. Just can't wait. Just can't wait. But the fact that we all got introduced to many new villains in this episode shows the fact that these next couple episodes are just gonna be pure action, no filler whatsoever. So get ready, kids. Get your juices. Get your popcorn, cause now it's an all-out battle. But that's it for this episode, because of the fact that I have nothing else to talk about. No, but in all seriousness, of course, we are actually done with this episode, because Renat Square kind of leaves off at the fact that the kids are going to be facing off against a lot of villains. But Tomoro Shigaraki, watch out with this character. This character is just bad to the bone. But that's it. Let me know in the down in the comments what you guys think about this episode. You know, I personally enjoyed this episode. It was very slow, but I love that ending scene. Not too many I would say comical skits in this episode. It was more long, like more like a serious episode, you could say. Just chit chat, and that's all they were doing. But like I said, let me know in the comment section what you guys think of all the villains. What do you guys think of any of the villains that you guys saw? If you guys memorized any of the villains, what'd you guys also think of number 13? What you guys think of the voice too? I swear, I'm still kind of confused with the fact of that. But drop it down in the comments below. And don't forget, if you guys enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe. But this is Mr. Zen signing out. How's it going, everyone? This is Mr. Zen over here with another Boku No Hero Academy episode review. For today's episode, we're going to be reviewing episode 10, Encounter with the Unknown. Now, for this episode, lots of high turns, lots of action, battle, intuitive inquisitions with the main cast. But all in all, at the end of the episode, we see that now that Mizuka Midoriya is now finally being acknowledged as a leader. As you can see, he's actually influencing the other students to take on I would say a stronger or a hero role, as you could say, because of the fact that Midoriya is always just charging in headlessly. It does, to be honest, in an adult kind of perspective, it does look like it's just a brash decision, and like without no questions asked. That looks like, this guy didn't even think a plan ahead. But through the student size, of course, he looks like he's actually taking, of course he's showing some fear, but it looks like he's also showing that, he's showing a little bit of courage right there in itself, that even though he might fail, he's gonna still try his best. And that's what I liked about this episode. Izuka Midoriya has never faced villains before. Well, he has, but I wouldn't say in a real life situation where knowing that no one's gonna rescue him. All the teachers are all busy, knowing that there is help, but it's just him by himself. So this episode, you can see that Izuka Midoriya is now finally establishing himself as, if All Might is gonna be the symbol of peace, then I should also prove myself to be worthy of that title. And you could clearly see that in this entire episode. And there is so much to talk about in this episode that, holy snap, you're here wondering, like, wow, you gotta love the pacing of the episode. Also, you gotta remember that this pacing is stupendous. Now, the plot of this little mini arc is quick, though. That in itself, yes, the whole entire plot is, All Might come. The villains are gonna capture All Might. In order to defeat All Might, they brought in so many of these villains, and All Might's not here. So now they gotta just take care of the students and kind of use them as kind of like bait, and try to capture All Might using the kids. But that kind of says a lot about the villains in itself, because of the fact that the villains didn't really have a big master plan, because they were only expecting All Might to be there. It kind of makes you think and speculate the fact that Okay, so what if All Might wasn't there? What are you guys gonna do? Just okay, if the All Might's not there, I guess just take the kids as bait and kill them. Why not hold them as hostage? That's what I was actually thinking throughout the whole entire episode. Why kill these kids? Just beat them up a little bit, tie them up, and just say, All Might, we got the kids back here. You try one reckless move, bam, that's it for you, man. Your symbol of peace will be over. That's what I personally, if I was a villain, that's what I personally would have done. But instead, in this episode, you kind of see the villains. They're gonna kill the kids, and you're wondering why kill the kids. The kids are actually a golden opportunity to capture All Might. But instead, they want to go with their traditional role of let's just kill everything in sight. Even though our plan failed, that All Might's not here. Let's just kill the kids. No, no, no. That's not how it works. You actually have to think of a backup plan in order of your backup plan. You just gotta keep having backup plans with every backup plan. And these villains here, they're just kind of to me it looked like they were kind of winging it throughout the whole entire episode. That's what I kind of found it hilarious. They were just looking at it and said, well, I guess we gotta go with improvisation. You know, oh, I'm sorry. Guess All Might's not here, so I guess we just gotta improvise. Spicy something like that, make it look like we're still evil, but apparently not. What can I say? But you gotta remember, you gotta love the villain's attitude. The fact that they're just they're kind of just using fear, intimidation, and numbers. Yes, that is true in a battle that could work, but you also kind of have to play your cards right. It's like a chess piece. You gotta play your cards right all the time. You always gotta be one step ahead. You can't make a faulty error. And in this case, they made that faulty error is because of the fact that All Might wasn't there. The villains now are just taking a gamble at that, and that's kind of hilarious. You could tell these villains are kind of new at this game. These guys aren't pro villains. It looks more like they're playing kids games too, which I kind of find hilarious. If you look at it through another eye, at an experienced pro hero, you're gonna be like, do these guys even think of what they're doing? Are these guys just literally just walking in nonchalantly? I mean, don't get me wrong. The villains did actually, have I'm assuming a villain or a coworker or whatever the case they want to call it to disrupt the signals for the whole entire UA. Now that is smart, because the whole time I was thinking, why won't they just call All Might from the UA and then just say, hey, All Might, we need help, come be great. But like 13 said, oh, they're disrupting the signals. So I gotta give credit to the villains for that. Gotta give credit, you guys. You guys are doing some pretty good stuff right there. But just the fact that you guys didn't have a backup plan to your backup plan, that's the thing kind of like messed you up. You guys are so overpowering, and you guys are a high criminal organization. You guys make yourselves kind of look weak at the same time that you guys didn't have a plan in case All Might wasn't there. Come on. But speaking of the villains, I like the fact that the villains were actually having trouble is with Aizawa. Yes, they were actually having trouble with this guy. I also found that not hilarious, but the fact that these pro heroes, they're actually pretty strong, and they're not taken for granted. And like I said before, it goes back to my same idea that did these guys even plan anything out? Like I said, they didn't expect Aizawa to be there, so the villains were actually getting their hands down. They were actually losing because even Aizawa was there. So it kind of makes you look at the fact that the villains are actually pretty weak in itself if they have to actually outnumber the heroes. And which goes a lot to say that even if All Might was there, it looked to me as if All Might would have won as well, because these villains look weak. They had a firing squad. Okay, what with the firing squad? All Might would just move at supersonic speed and get out of the way. I'm assuming they're probably gonna rely on the guy that has the space-time ability quirk. I'm assuming that's what they're gonna rely on in order to make All Might's attacks non-essential. Or maybe that giant creature in the back that's really big and nasty. He looks like an Incredible Hulk kind of thing, just on Roid Rage right there. That's kind of funny that I'm saying that, an Incredible Hulk on roids. Or I would say Incredible Hulk on acid. But speaking of that, going back to Aizawa, in fact, like I said, he was actually taking care of the villains. Yes, he was, and I'm saying that because I'm proud of him, because he's one of the. I feel like he's one of the best teachers, and they actually showcase that you don't have to be as strong as All Might in order to take down the villains. I like the fact that you gotta also have brains in battle as well, and and quick reflexive abilities too. You know, it's experience that also counts in a battle as well. And Aizo was proving to the fact that, you know, he's fought different types of villains before that he knows how to handle in different situations, and that's what Aizo was like showcasing. And I like the fact that he doesn't have super strength, super speed. No, all his quirk does is just renders somebody's other's quirk to a minimum bear, and that kind of shows itself that, wow, he's using his quirk to his fullest extension, even though it's so limited at the same time. And I love the fact that Aizawa also has like this special cloth that it looks so indestructible. And I'm here thinking like, man, I wish I can get that kind of clothing, to help me in a street fight. Hold on, let me take care of these goons with this scarf right here that I'm carrying, because this special scarf is meant, just to take you down. Like I like the fact that Aizawa's like scarf is also a weapon in itself, which by the way, it's also pretty good, which kind of showcase that you could tell like I see him more as like a Kakashi of this entire series. Like I said before in my previous videos, he just looks amazing. Has quick reflexes. He's very intuitive. He takes the lead when he has to. Like I said, Aizawa, he is the man, and I love the fact that. But unluckily for him, some of the villains did escape in the episode and went towards the children and caused all the kids to be separated. And that's where I'm going on to lead onto my next topic, which kind of explains that, you know, why the villains aren't like I said, they didn't expect that again. They didn't know none of the kids' quirks. And like I said before, it's just like the villains they don't seem as strong now in this. Like I feel like it's only just a limited number of the villains that are just a little bit strong and are standing out. The other villains are just there just to be there in itself. And like I said before, so they're gonna be showcasing some of the, I would say, some of the little kids in this little arc as well. You can clearly tell. I kind of felt sorry for the kid that had the giant tail. He looked like he was being outnumbered. Like I felt sorry for him, and all his quirk is just having a strong tail, and you're wondering like, oh man, how is this guy gonna take care of him? And then you see Shota. He's with his ice and fire abilities. He's actually taking down the villains in itself. Like I said, the kids are actually doing pretty good against these villains, which kind of goes to say that these kids are really the golden eggs of the generation, just like one of the major villains that actually told them, these kids, they're one of a kind, they're really strong, and the villains aren't underestimating them. That's another part of the villains that I'm actually liking, is that these villains, they may be a little off, but like I said, only a couple of them they're really showcasing them. You could tell they're going to be part of the major plot in itself. Now, back at let's say Midoriya, you can see again they showcase also Suya, Midoriya, and Mineta. Those three characters were showcased and highlighted for this whole entire episode. It and that's what I love about that, is that these three characters, they each had different abilities that they just banded together. And see, the villains, they weren't working together. They're just using numbers to take things down. The kids are actually working in unison in order to take down their enemies. And that's what I like about the fact they actually showed Suya to be a pretty strong opponent. Even though she's a woman, like out of all the women, she looks like she's the most pretty powerful girls in the class. Even though she's, like I said, like she's defining the trait of she's not a shy girl. You would think that like in personality she looks like shy, but no, she's actually very intuitive at the fact as well that when she was with Midoriya in there, she was collecting her thoughts and saying, these villains, they actually formulated a good plan when if All Might was here in order to take him down. And Midoriya was also agreeing with Itsuya, but of course, Midoriya was just a little shy at the fact that it's a woman. It's like, oh, I'm actually talking to a woman, and oh snap, let me turn red or blushing. But that like I said, they're kind of showcasing that these are still kids. I like the fact that they did that. It's just like don't forget, man, these are still children. They're not adults yet. They're preteens. Kind of find that hilarious on the authors, but also Mineta. You gotta love this character. His logic in the episode was straightforward, hilarious. Like how he told Midoriya, "How can you guys be so calm? We just entered school, not expecting to be killed for the first couple days. I like that logic that he used. And showcasing that so that some of these kids are normal. They're not like crazy psychopaths. Battle gun ho ready. Mineta. I'm assuming Mineta's supposed to represent the normal. I would say like the normal kids in the sense, because of the fact that he was hyperventilating, he was screaming his lungs out. he was showcasing that, like he wants to touch another. I forgot, one of the main class, of the women's, the representative. He wanted to touch her boobs, and I'm just like, when he like, yeah, Mineta's supposed to represent the normal of the UA kids, but that's okay too at the same fact, because Mineta made a point there too, that he just wants to lead a normal life, and do whatever any high schooler wants to do, just go out with girls. But even he was served as a comedic relief. He actually in itself was also, how do I say, he had his own little character progression really fast too. Like I said, the plot in itself is good. It's just that it's going a little fast in each episodes. The episode itself is paced very well, but just the whole entire plot is moving very fast. That's what I'm trying to say in this whole entire little mini arc. The author sure likes he makes good he really writes good plots, but just that he makes this the I would say the action pace really quickly. I'm assuming just 'cause he just wants to stick straight to the main plot, and that's it. No fillers, no. He's not trying to extend it like other shonen series. He's just trying to stick it and combine it all at once. That's good in a sense, you know. But like I said before, with Mineta, gotta love this character. This character is very lovable. I'm assuming all fans are gonna love Mineta. And his quirk is not even strong too, which makes it fun. It makes it hilarious at the same fact that because his quirk is not strong, he still managed to take down all these villains, and that's hilarious. I found that hilarious, His time to shine was right in this episode. Even Suya was amazed that, like, wow, you're actually pretty amazing when it's your time to shine. And that's what I love about Mineta. Give you an A+ for effort. Oh yeah. But wrapping things up on this whole entire series, or I should say, my bad, this episode, we're going to look back at the fact that what is going to happen with All Might. In this episode, they were actually showcasing with All Might that, it's time for you to put your mantle down. The principal in itself, by the way, the principal is very cute. Love him. He's so cute. But they were showcasing the fact that All Might should put his mantle down and just retire and be a teacher, because of the fact that, it's thanks to him that crime rates, yes, they have disappeared, they're decreasing. Yes, of course, there's still a lot of ruffians, but you gotta let other heroes do their thing too. We can't just solely depend on you. That's the vibe that I was getting from the principal. We can't depend on you all the time. You have to let others step in and let them take care of it, because of the fact that there will always be evil around, no matter what. Yeah, we know that he's a symbol of peace, but just slow down, man. You need to start thinking about the future instead of the now. And that's what I like about the principal. You could tell this principal is really smart, and he's telling All Might, stop being so reckless and train your next success. I'm sorry about that. Sorry for stuttering. Train your next successor, because of the fact that you don't have much time, and you can tell that you're hurting right now. You're hurting, and you're only hurting more yourself by doing all these reckless things. And that's what I like about this episode, the fact that they kind of show, even though that scene was small, that was a very important scene to not overlook as well. And that, a lot of viewers probably think, it's kind of ran its job, but no, it's a lot of foreshadowing too at the same time, that we could probably think that probably in the later chapters or episodes, the fact that All Might is going to be gone, or like maybe something might happen to him, because of the same fact that just All Might has to be careful. And you can tell that now that his quirk time, when he uses his quirk, I'm sorry, it's actually slowing down too. He can't keep it up as long, and the principal's telling like I said, just slow it down. And that's what I love about this episode. Like I said, the pacing was good and stuff, but like the plot in the entirety is just going very fast paced. The plot is. But let me know. But like I said, this is it for the whole entire episode. It was amazing. Don't get me wrong. I know some people actually were kind of hating on this episode too, because of the fact that there wasn't that much action. I mean, yes, Tenya Lita he's gonna be the main hero in this arc again, because his mission is to rescue the kids. So everything rests on Tenya Lita's shoulders. That's just it. He's another main cast character that they like to showcase, and you can tell that the author really loves Tenya. Tenya Lita, again, he's always being used in every single episode as like a very important cast member. But like I said before, let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought about this episode. Like I said, I enjoyed this episode. What are your thoughts on the next episode? Do you guys think that Black Mist Sky character is gonna really hold down Tenya Lita? Do you guys think are they gonna showcase every single fight? Because the way that I'm looking at these episodes, I don't think they're gonna showcase every single fight. Because there's only 13 episodes left. They were now we're down to episode 10, so I'm assuming that they're not really gonna showcase every single fight. I kind of wanted to at the same time that they would showcase that, but doesn't look like the case to me. But like I said before, write down in the comments below what you guys think about the episode. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you guys enjoyed my content. And as always, stay golden, folks. This is Mr. Zen, signing out. Welcome, YouTubers, to another Boku No Hero Academy episode review slash discussion slash reaction. Cause holy snap, episode 11, game over. Now this episode was just full of a roller coaster of emotions. Now the reason I'm particularly saying it's full of emotions is because of the fact that this whole entire episode was divided into 3 different segments. Now the first segment was divided in the fact that the episode is kind of showing the surrounding environment, you could say. They were showing all the teenagers while they were fighting all the other villains and how they were actually coping with it. And to be honest, a lot of the students were actually coping with it very well. From the looks of it, only Mineta was the only one that was not coping well with the situation at hand. All the other students were just like battle ready. They're just saying, you know what? Forget, the school rules, man. We gotta defend our lives here. Like, the only reason I feel like Mineta probably was the only one that was overreacting to the situation was because of the fact that I'm guessing because he's the only one that his quirk is not really, I would say, a battle friendly quirk as from what we witnessed. But that other than that, all the other students were very, very much in tune with their surroundings, and they were just, they were ready to fight. Especially loved the fact that when they showed Denki's quirk, holy snap, man, this guy's quirk was amazing. Like, his quirk is electrocution. Like, the way I saw it, it was more like he's just a human battery. That's the way it is. He wasn't kind of like NL where he can just like control the electricity. No, probably because of the fact that he's young and inexperienced. Maybe that's why he could only just kind of short circuit everything all around him. But other than that, Denki's quirk was like I thought it kind of shined out to me after this. And I love the fact that when they showed Denki, he was used as I would say a comical spoof or kind of like comical stress reliever. The fact that his famous lines throughout the whole entire episode just say, "Oh yeah, I'm strong now. Check me out, ladies." Just the way that he was just representing himself against all the villains kind of shows them more of the fact that he's actually a dangerous guy. When he puts his mind to it, this guy's a very dangerous guy. But I don't want to digress too much from the story with just Denki alone. No, all the other characters were actually putting on some very good shows. They actually showed Jiro's quirk with her, I would say, like amplification, like for sound, you could say, or her earphone jack quirk, you could say, where like it literally amplifies the sound. And it showcased that, this woman's also a very, like, all the women in this series, they're actually very dangerous. Like, holy snap, you love every single character in this series. That's what the thing I like about this Boku no Hero Academy is that you're gonna fall in love with every single character, no matter if their quirks are tiny or if their quirks are just like inexcusable. It's just that the fact that the way that the author uses every single one of everybody's quirks is just lovable. I saw they even showed Kirishima's quirk later on in the episode, where his quirk is just hardening, and he was taking down multiple villains with Katsuki. And when they showed that scene too as well, it showed like a very friendly, not want to say rivalry. Actually, Kirishima is actually looking up to Katsuki, which is very hilarious because of the fact that Katsuki is shown more of a brash and very outgoing, I could say. Outgoing and just like level, like in this episode they kind of showed him level-headed, which I kind of like that about Katsuki in this episode. He was very level-headed. He wasn't calm, but it looked like he was in control. When he's actually fighting against for something that's like villains, and just somewhere he has to protect for his friends. He actually looked like he was very much in control, and that's what I like about him in this episode. Just wow, I was actually surprised at Katsuki. Katsuki's character progression is really going so well. I love the fact that the author also showed with Katsuki is the fact that his reflexes are really good. He actually took down an opponent that was invisible and just took him down, and you're just wondering like, holy snap, what is this guy? What has this guy been doing, man? This guy been training in the dark or something, like Batman status. Holy snap! But moving along the line, that was part one of the episode. Like I said, this episode was divided in three segments, and part one was just showing everyone's how they were reacting to the whole environment. In part two, we actually get to see Aizawa fighting off against the villains, but this time he was fighting more along the case of the villains that were very much important to this whole arc. And he was fighting, if I remember correctly, Tobara Shigaraki. They actually finally showed, like, he was actually moving along inside this like little arc, and he actually was shown to be very dangerous. Like the way he was handling Aizawa, like from all the previous episodes that we've seen, Aizawa has been shown to be a very powerful opponent, regardless of his quirk of erasing everybody's. Tomura just manhandled him. Like he was just going at it. He like I said, this episode was actually also dark in itself because of the fact that they were showing a lot of not explicit scenes, but like very, very gruesome scenes where they showed Aizawa's hand like just bleeding and like just oh man, like I'm sorry, but this episode you actually see Aizawa very much in pain, and it was hard for me to see this, to be honest, because of the fact that Aizawa was one of my favorite teachers in the UA Academy, and holy snap, when I saw this guy just getting taken down, oh, it was it was very hurtful eye candy right there. Sorry, Aizawa. Ugh, you're still my pride and concern right there, but damn. I love the fact that they actually showcased also with Aizawa was the fact that even at the brink of his near death, he was still shown to be a very, very respectable opponent, you could say, because even Tomuro actually recognized him and said, "You know what? You're so like." He was mocking him, but you could tell that Tomuro was respecting this guy because the fact that when Tomuro was actually going to attack the kids, Aizawa was even when he was still taken down and being held down by Nemu, he was actually using his quirk to save the students at the same time while he was being just brought down to the floor, his arms dismembered, and oh man, still a badass scene right there. Very explicit too at the same fact. I gotta keep saying that over and over again because of the fact that they showed a lot of blood in this episode. It wasn't just like a regular, oh, a little small little nosebleed, eye bleed, a little scratch. No, like they showed Aizawa like dropping pools of blood in this episode. And that's why like this episode, like I said, was pretty dark in itself because of Aizawa. Like I'm assuming that the kids and I were gonna really showcase any dark themes with them probably later on in the series. But with this episode, it's more along the line showing Aizawa's the little scene right there. And Aizawa's scene was, I feel like that was the most impactful part of this whole episode, with him facing off against Nemu and Tomuro, was because the fact that, holy snap, man, Aizawa, man, this guy's like gonna be in cripples. Holy snap! The way that they showcased this was just amazing. They left every detail down right there. You gotta love the studio that's animating this series. They did this episode very, very well, and the pacing for this episode was very, very well as well. And we're also introduced to the character Nomu, and the character Nomu, like, to me, he looks like just a platypus on steroids. That's the way that he looks like to me now. When you read it in the manga, he looks all badass. He just like, he does. I feel like he has a different vibe when you see him animated. That's the way I saw it when I was watching this anime today, and the way when I saw it, just Nomu just looks like a platypus on steroids. That's just it. That's just it. I'm sorry, folks, but that's just hilarious to me that when he was taking down Aizawa, I'm just like, man, Aizawa like getting taken down by like a brutal animal. And that's the thing too. Nomu is just literally, he is just an animal that has no speech, no nothing. He's just the one. He like you could tell that he just thinks on his senses too, because the same fact that is showcased in the episode where Deku actually used his smash against him, and the instant that he used it against Tomuro, you could tell that Tomuro's is like that's his bodyguard there. Nomu's his bodyguard. The minute he used it, Tomuro was right there and just like sealed it off like the whole attack, and you're here wondering like, holy snap, this monster is destructive in itself. Its body is destructive too. They showcased how strong this creature is, and even Aizo was trying to use his quirk, and the quirk didn't even phase it. And like you told, it's just pure physical strength manifested in that body of that creature. And that creature just means dangerous. It means it's a lethal threat to All Might. You could tell this creature is the ultimate success to defeating All Might. And that's what they were kind of showcasing and kind of enveloping around this character Nemu, was the fact that it's just the embodiment of evil, an evil abomination. That's what it literally looked like to me. Like, wow. And like I said, I love it, the fact how the studio is working with the themes here. And I love the fact that the viewers are gonna be left in their seats while watching this episode as well. You know, you're watching this and you're gonna be holding your breath, you're gonna be gasping, you're gonna be like wondering, oh, what's next. And I love the fact how they're pacing this episode. The music just goes along with it as well. You know, like of course the episode is not like the music is not very pumped up. It's just very, I would say it flows. It just flows with the episode. And last but not least, we have the part 3 of the segment, was the fact that where Tenya, I'm sorry, I probably might have like jumped it all around. This is probably like the second part. Aizo versus Nemu probably might have been the last third segment of the episode, but I'm gonna still say it either way. The last segment of this episode was Tanya Lita's escape from I think it was trying to remember. It's the guy that like create portals. I'm trying to remember his name. Trying to remember. Tomuro explained it in the episode of what his name was. Oh, it was. Give me a second, guys. Trying to remember his name. Kurogiri. Yes, there we go. It was Kurogiri. And when they were showcasing that, it was very, how do I say, you, you were on the brink of your toes, and you were kind of hoping Tenya Lita was escaping from this creature. I'm sorry, not creature, from this person. Because Kurogiri is actually a person, he's not really a creature. Nomu actually is a creature. And with Kurogiri's little fight scene right there, I like the fact that they kind of implemented it in this episode as well. Because of the fact that when they showcased Kurogiri fighting against the students, he actually took down the teacher 13, and 13, Kurogiri kind of like went off against he kind of broke the fourth wall. By the way, they kind of break the fourth wall a couple times in this episode. Tomoro breaks it, but when Kurogiri breaks it, it's kind of hilarious that like he kind of showcased that, you know, that the teacher 13 doesn't really have, he has a very strong quirk ability. Let's just put it that way. He has a strong quirk, but it's just not battle friendly. That's what he was kind of explaining. And when I saw this, I'm here thinking, wow, it's kind of true that you have this awesome ability, yet you can't use it in battle, or you can't use it effectively as how it really should be meant. And it kind of goes pretty much sad, because the way that the 13 kind of uses the ability is more like a trash dispenser, which it's kind of sad. That ability that he has, the black hole ability, it's very destructive, and yet it's fundamentally being, how do I say, liberated with, not liberated, but it's very fundamentally I would say confined to that person. Like its ability should be able to should be limitless with that one. But Kurogiri kind of explained that, and it showcased that 13 is a very weak person when it comes to real life battles. And they actually even showcase how strong the quirk is to the person itself. It kind of reminded me something of like off of Inuyasha, where the character that has the black hole in his hand, like it's attacking the same person. And I like the fact that when Kurogiri kind of like backtracked that episode, I mean not that episode, that attack back at 13, it just really kind of shocked me, because I'm like, wow, that was a very quick fight right there in itself. And Kurogiri, holy snap, this guy he seems like a very formidable opponent. This guy knows how to take down multiple people. He's very calm and in control as well. Because when he was taking down the students, you can tell this guy, he's very level-headed in a sense. Out of all the villains so far, that he looks to me like he's the evil mastermind instead of Tomura. Like he looks like he should be the one leading instead of actually following under Tomura. But I'm guessing because Tomura is more, I would say, like an open-minded more person, I could say, or like the way that he's kind of showcased himself, He's just more psychopathic, you can kind of clearly see. Probably that's why he's kind of like the leader. But Kurogiri, man, kind of loving this villain right here. Like I said, the author's kind of making the villains look pretty, really, really lovable. Like Kurogiri, man, they're becoming one of my favorite villains. That's what I'm seeing. I'm hoping that we get to see more of this guy, or at least a backstory for this character. I wonder how he manifested his quirk. But digressing again from this story, I'm sorry about that, folks. But like I said before, in the one of the segments is when Tenya Lita escaped from Kurogiri himself. And when he escaped from Kurogiri, all viewers out there are gonna be like, "Yes, Tenya Lita escaped. Yes, yes, I can't believe it." And when Tenya Lita escaped, that's what kind of meant the episode itself game over, because when Kurogiri went back to talk to Tomura, he was saying that, oh, it's game over now. All the pro heroes are gonna come now, and that's what the episode was kind of implying. But when you watch the end of the episode, yes, let's give it a round of applause for the hero All Might. He is actually in USJ right now as we speak. In the next episode, we're actually gonna see him now fight against all the major villains. And that's just kind of sad at the fact is that the authors kind of left us with a tease right there. So that we now know that the whole next episode is basically All Might fighting against the whole next villains. Pretty cool in a sense, which gives us like, you could tell there's going to be no pure filler in these 13 episodes that we're all watching right now. Also, you gotta love the fact that when All Might came in, man, he came in with like a wrecking ball, to be honest. Like, he actually made everyone stop in their tracks. And I thought that was kind of hilarious right there in itself, because he's kind of like, he's still in his work clothes, and you're here wondering like, oh man, like this guy's gonna get his hands dirty like in the next episode. That's hilarious. I'm sorry, but that's it for this episode. Holy snap! I was enjoyed by the fact this episode, and I love the way they kind of did that in those 3 segments. Like this whole entire episode could have went along. I would say it could have spanned for 2 episodes if it was like, just pure talking and a little bit more action. It could span on 2 episodes, but I love the fact that they kind of did it as 1 episode, and that was pretty intense in itself right there. But lovable episode, I gotta say. This episode 11 was a very enjoyable episode, and I'm giving it a round of applause because of the fact that wow, just so much has been happening inside this whole entire episode. But yes, let me know what you guys think, folks. Yes, sorry for stuttering. Folks, yes, let me know what you guys think about this whole entire episode. I personally enjoyed very much this episode. And if you're going to be binge watching this whole entire series, this episode is going to be taking the cake right there in itself. But like I said, let me know what you guys think about the episode. What are you guys expecting also in the next episode as well, since we're going to be, let's see if Tomura is actually going to face off against the hero All Might. What about Nemu? What do you guys think about Nemu? What do you think about his design? What does he remind you of? Like me, he reminds me of just looks like a platypus or a duck, a duck on steroids. But yes, let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about this episode, and as always, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content on Boku No Hero Academy. But that's all, folks. And this is Mr. Zen signing out. How's it going there, YouTubers? It's Mr. Zen over here with a brand new Boku No Hero Academy episode review. And for today's discussion, we'll be talking about Boku No Hero Academy episode 12, all entitled to The Hero All Might. Now, this episode, folks, was a purely battle-driven episode in itself. We get to witness All Might in his 100% form. This guy, All Might, is no joke at all. When he gets serious, he means serious business. And when people's lives are on the line, you can clearly tell that All Might really puts himself above the rest of all the other heroes in this whole entire series. Now, in the beginning of the episode, we get to see that All Might had, it leaves off back where All Might had entered the UA Academy, and he sees that Aizawa and 13 and all the students are in dire peril and need someone to be rescued, because the fact that Nobu and Tomura are actually, they're actually decimating the place. Actually, when you take a giant look at it, you get to see that these villains are actually almost taking over the whole entire place. But then, as the episode continues on, we actually get to see the hero All Might fight against Nomu, and then you actually get to see some of the students actually fight against, you could say, the heroes. They don't necessarily fight as much. It's more along the lines as they actually rescue All Might from the clutches of Nomu and Kurogiri himself in order to help All Might escape. But then from there on, the whole entire episode just focuses all on All Might and him alone against Nomu. Like I said before, this episode was just purely awestruck in determination, purely just battle scenes after battle scene after battle scene. Yes, of course there was dialogue involved in it, but it was just all pumped up motivational dialogue in itself. Tomura's dialogue in throughout the whole entire I was gonna say chapter, my mistake, folks. Throughout the whole entire episode was more along the line as to say that he was actually ready and he was condescending still towards the hero All Might because of the fact that he was still confident against All Might through, you could say, Nomu's actions or his abilities to be able to withstand against All Might. Now, what I liked about this whole entire episode was the fact that we get to witness more of what Nomu actually is, and Nomu actually is a he's a human. You could say he's a human, or is he a human? I don't want to give too many spoilers, but basically, is the fact that Nomu is basically someone, you could say. He is someone along the line of the fact that has multiple quirks inside of his own body, and basically he has shock absorber, he has a strength enhancer, speed, he has all these quirks in his own body able to, just so that he can go along the line to face against All Might. And even All Might himself was actually struggling against Nomu throughout the whole entire episode. And that's what made this episode purely entire, because the fact that we get to see All Might struggle against the villain. He is actually the first villain that we actually get to see All Might have a disadvantage against, because not only because of the fact that the students were around, it's also because of the fact that when he was fighting it, you could say All Might was actually giving it his all, and he was still struggling. But that because of the fact that the way the episode was presented itself, by the way that how the hero All Might's pure will is just never ending. He pushed his limits. That's what I like about All Might. His character is always pushing himself farther and farther away. I personally believe All Might is a great role model in this episode himself. That's the way that, if you don't love All Might after this episode, I just here thinking like, what makes a great character for you? Because of the fact that the hero All Might, he actually even went above and beyond his 100% and went over that, and which also kind of gave a little bit of theory and speculations, the fact that what is actually All Might's powers too at the same time. What is the source of his powers as well? Because when you look at it, All Might's power, to me, it looked like strength enhancer, but there seems to be a little bit more involved in All Might's powers. In this episode, it kind of explained that as well, because they even showed like a little scene where it was kind of like rays of light connecting, kind of like an instant messenger text, you could almost say, and it was dot after dot after dot after dot connecting, and then you literally see All Might. It was basically like you could say like a visualization of All Might gaining strength through unknown measures, and all these little dots are representations of an unknown source of power, which I also thought it was actually pretty intense and awestruck. The suspense in the whole entire episode will leave viewers wanting more, because at the end of the episode, you actually get to see that, yes, All Might does defeat Nomu. Yes, he does. We are all glad, and you have to give a round of applause also to All Might for defeating Nomu in this episode as well. Because the fact that I love how Studio Bones actually went along and did this episode, because the fact that I thought this episode would have spanned at least to the next episode as well. Because when you read it back in the manga, you're thinking like, oh my god, how are they gonna animate this? This they're probably just gonna do pure dialogue and they're actually gonna move it on to the next episode. But no, they actually kept it all within one whole entire episode. And I love the fact that the next episode is basically gonna be the final climactic episode against All Might against the whole entire villains. And also, what I like the fact in this episode as well is also the students themselves. They all are so rebellious. They're all golden shines, and they are also at the fact that when they rescued the hero All Might, because the fact, let me retrace back the steps a little bit, is because the fact that back in the episode, All Might was, yes, he was actually, when he was struggling against it, it looked like the hero All Might was gonna, he looked like he was about to die against Nomu, and the villains were actually plotting, and they were scheming. They were just doing all that they can to defeat All Might, and it actually very much looked like they were actually gonna win, because the fact that they actually figured out All Might's weaknesses. But because of the, like I said before, the way that the episode was set up, the suspense kept pulling people in over and over and time again. And personally, my favorite part of the whole entire episode was the fact that when the students come in and they rescue All Might, that just shows right there that, you know, the way that the story progression is going on is that without teamwork, you could say that's gonna be the downfall of the villains, and that what it kind of was in a sense, was the villains also, you could say, downfall, because they only depended on so few little members of the team. They didn't depend on the whole entire villains as a whole to go after All Might. They only select few were after All Might, but then again, they were all the villains were all separate, which I still kind of find out that was a little bit odd in the episode as well. That's why all the villains were still separated when they figured out that All Might finally went in. They should have been like, there should have been a villain in itself that had like a radio transmitter and said, hey, hello, All Might's here. Come on, guys, bring it all together. All Might's here. Now let's go and attack him all at once. But no, it was just basically just Nomu against All Might. And like I said, that entire episode was also awesome. And you got to remember that I actually loved the way they animated the scene where they actually showed All Might actually going just fist to fist, punch to punch after Nomu, letting Nomu actually absorb all of All Might's attacks as well. And that's what kind of shows that even a quirk has to have limits, and even shock absorb has to have a limit, and that's what it kind of shows. All Might, it literally is the epitome. He's basically the Saitama of this universe. That's what he basically is. He's Saitama 2.0 with a little bit of quirk in him. That's the way I find it. Like, he has more. All Might is like with Saitama with emotion, as in Saitama himself is kind of like you could say like a bored, redundant person, you could say, but with extraordinary powers. But back onto the episode itself. Like I said, at the end of the episode, we're gonna actually witness Tomura actually facing off against All Might all by himself, and that's what I actually want to see, is the fact that because they didn't have any sheer, you could say, teamwork there, it's gonna be weird at how Tomura's gonna escape out of this scene. And remember, it's only two villains. But I also love the fact that the character progression out of all the students is actually increasing. Like I said before, the students are progressing very well in each and every episode, that they're outshining themselves over and over and over again. And that's what I like to see about characters in every story arc, is they keep pushing themselves over the limit to show themselves that, that I can become stronger. And this episode exemplifies that. Some characters weren't really, pushing themselves over the limit, but that's because they're in a different state of being, and you could say that they're not necessarily side characters, just that it's not their time to shine yet, because of the fact that they are expecting All Might to do it. But you can clearly tell that Kirishima, Shota, Midoriya, and who was the last one, and Katsuki are actually going to be the only ones that are actually going to, you could say, show a lot of character progression. But that's it for this entire episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Tell me, folks, what was your favorite scene? My favorite scene, like I said before, was Nomu and All Might just punching at each other, facing head to head. That suspense, that thrill, that heart-racing scene, like I said, was my favorite scene. But folks, let me know what you guys think about it. What do you guys think about what's going to be the next episode in itself? And also, drop down in the comment section, what do you guys think about Nomu himself? what are your thoughts on it? Or do you still like the character still? Is it just another annoying character? Is he dead? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you guys enjoy my content. I will try to post as many reviews out there, and for next week, Boku No Hero Academy reviews. I'll post as much as I can. But like I said, have a splendid day, folks. Happy Father's Day. Love and blessings to all of you. But this is Mr. Zen signing out. Welcome, folks of all ages, children, ladies, and gentlemen, for the final episode of Boku no Hero Academy Season 1, Episode 13. Now, yes, folks, I am glad to actually watch this episode because of the fact that the episode was very entertaining in itself from the beginning till the end and leads its viewers wanting for more. But at the same time, it leaves the viewers satisfied because when at the end of the day, you want more or less of what you could say of the entirety of the chapters or the anime itself. But when it's done right at the end of the day, you're just gonna have to wait impatient and wait until another season comes by. And that's what I liked about this episode is that they didn't rush it. They didn't move on into another pacing or start a new arc. No, they finished the arc that they were actually within, and I love that. This whole entire episode was just done purely beautiful. But let's continue on to the episode. Yes, folks, the episode starts off in still, All Might actually continuing to fight against the evil villains. Yes, All Might he defeated Nomu itself in the previous episode, but then, he still has to face off against Tomura and Shigaraki. I'm sorry, Tomura, Shigaraki, and Kurogiri. And then I personally was kind of like, awestruck at the fact that, you know, what's gonna happen, because that's in the beginning of the episode. All Might is fighting them. You gotta remember that All Might has like a timer left over. After he just gave off like his plus ultra 100% special attack. You're wondering like, wow, he still has two major villains to face off against while protecting his students with no backup whatsoever. But then the episode continues on with itself with the teachers. Yes, folks, the teachers actually come in and help All Might because the fact that the villains' actual goal was to actually defeat All Might no matter what. And they emphasize that in this episode. But once the teachers came in, the whole entire episode it just literally transitioned into a different pacing and continue to finish the arc itself. Because the minute the teachers come in, that's it. The villains are done. They got overpowered by the numbers. And that's what the villains weren't. They didn't really want none of that to happen in itself. And when you clearly see that the heroes come in, they demolish all the villains in 1 second. And I love the way the episode emphasized that the heroes, the pro heroes, they set themselves apart from the students and the villains themselves. They are clearly on a whole different level when they're actually being serious. Now, later on in the other half of the episode, like I said, folks, the first half is just the fight between All Might and the villains and with the heroes coming in. And then the second half of the episode then continues on with All Might talking to Midoriya about how things are going to be changing in the future. There's going to be greater things happening in the future. All like just it's the pacing was a little slower in the second half of the episode because of the fact that the episode was ending in itself, and I feel like the authors and the animators didn't want to show too much of another arc itself. Instead, they actually focused within the same arc that they stayed in, and that's it. Once they were done with this entire episode, that's it. That's all it is. And folks, yes, they actually showed a little spoiler alert at the end of the episode for second season, and I personally love that little spoiler because I was not expecting the spoiler that they kind of showed. I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to say it a little bit later in the video, but yes, folks, they showed a spoiler that would involve a whole different arc in itself, and I am personally and can't wait for season 2, folks. It's going to be done beautifully. I'm looking at Studio Bones, and they're actually doing wonderful with this whole entire season. And when you look back at all the episodes, you're wondering like a lot has gone through the whole entire 13 episodes, and yet so little has happened as well, which is so hilarious. throughout the whole entire 13 episodes, I believe it was like about 21, 22 chapters that have just spanned on. But they were done beautifully, you know? And I gotta agree that Studio Bones is the perfect studio and animation studio, I'm sorry, that has done to perfect the author's signature work on screen. Now, back to the episode, of course. Sorry for digressing. Yes, folks. What I like about the episode was the fact that in the beginning episode, I love the fact that they give you a little bit of suspense and characterization for All Might, because the fact that his time limit was over, the villains still had a little. They were still energized, and raring to go, and you see All Might still struggling. The fact that once his power is gone, he'll be done, and that's it. This episode literally kind of clearly showed a death threat, but because of the fact that I see how the author was kind of continuing with the storyline. They gave that much anticipation and giving that the viewer that much needed attention, so that the viewer can actually be stuck to watching the show itself. And yes, folks, the minute that you're watching that first half of the episode, you're gonna be stuck. I am not gonna lie to you. I was actually stuck. I was anticipating for the heroes to come in and save the day. And once they came in, the how does it call it, the background music, the changing of the pace, you're gonna clearly just gonna be like, oh my god, I can't believe they're finally here. Finally stuff is gonna go down. Some literally character progression is gonna go on, and literally the show is really like, it's just clearly going forward once All Might was done with itself. And Bakugo's actually character progression in this episode was shown a little bit as well, as he's the one that was kind of clearly looking at Midoriya, seeing like, oh, I can't believe he's done it again. He's always staying one step ahead, and they kind of show that, like, that Katsuki he's still jealous, and that's what I find hilarious, that he's still jealous of Midoriya, that he's always still being one step ahead, even though Katsuki still has a very powerful quirk. But that's not what the whole entire episode was mainly about. There's also major, I would say, very major points in the episode as well, where they kind of clearly on and went along and emphasized, where they show some of the students, they were still struggling, and they were going to be in a predicament where they can't escape. And they kind of show that the fear that these students are going to kind of invoke on them, so that way they can also progress later on in future episodes, because the fact that they're facing off in real danger, and in the face of life and death, these kids, they're going to be traumatized, or they're going to use this scenario as a way of gaining experience. And the way I see it, these kids at the end of the episode, they're using it very profoundly. And that's what I love about this episode, is the fact that it's just a very major moving point for every single one of these. And also, later on in the episode, we get to see this new hero. He's a pro hero, by the way, Sebentos. I kind of like this guy, the way that he kind of admired All Might. It was so hilarious, the fact that when he looked at All Might, he kind of, like, you could clearly see that the pro heroes are actually within the keeping the secret of All Might against the students, because he kind of clearly helped out. And that's what's pretty cool about it, is that we don't know who else knows about All Might's secret. Like, the author is just giving small hints at who and where or what time the people might know of All Might's own personal secret of how he actually originally looks like. And it's clearly, as we can see, the teachers are on game. We just don't know who, but most of the teachers clearly are on game. And I'm sorry, folks. It's just this episode was just wonderful. I'm just like excited for this episode. Once I saw it, my mind was racing. Oh man, I'm sorry, folks. I'm just literally just shivering in freaking excitement over here. Ooh. But yes, folks, like I said, the episode was very exciting. The first half, like I said before, was just pure action. Second half was just, it wasn't filler, as you could say. You could clearly see that it's more along the line of just stop and go talk. Like that. That's the way I saw it. And they even clearly showed that, that, like, it's hilarious, the fact that not most of the teachers were fighting, but just some of them, just kind of showcase how, like, what teachers would be like represented as like a lot of the, you could clearly say, like how do you say, advertisement, you could kind of say, so that way they could clearly see that, like, oh, this guy might be a fan favorite. And I believe one of the heroes is Deathshot. He was kind of clearly being showcased as one of the pro heroes to literally probably might be a fan favorite from now on, even though he only had like a minute or two of fame right there in itself. I kind of find that funny. And there's another comical scene too with Yugo, as in where was Yugo throughout the whole entire episode, and you're kind of wondering as well, where was Yugo? Where was Yugo at? And I kind of speculated the fact that I personally think he might have been in the bathroom or he ran away. One of the two, because clearly this guy was nowhere to be found. But like out of the whole entire episode, that was the most comical scene that I personally found in the episode because of the fact that where was Yugo? This he was the only one that was not fighting or shown throughout the whole entire episode. And I like the fact that the author kind of kept that a secret throughout the whole entire episode because of the fact that there was so much going on throughout the whole entire episode that you clearly kind of forgot about who and where and who was there at the time. And when Yugo came out, you're kind of like wondering, like, oh, I can't believe this character actually exists. The comic relief character, where all of a sudden now he's very important. That's what I kind of found funny about this episode. They kind of emphasized at that fact too. you know. And like I said, folks, that's it for this entire episode. It was very enjoyable. The music soundtrack was very good. Love the ending of how they kind of ended the whole entire episode was because of the fact that they actually showed clips of the whole entire season and like showing a little montage, as you could say, so that way they can kind of clearly say their goodbyes to the first entire season. And I like that. I like how the authors and the animators are going with the direct approach right there, as to like just literally say, it's a well done season and it's just finished now. But yes, folks, and now I'm going to talk about the spoiler that was left over in the end of the episode. And yes, folks, I'm sorry for spoiling for all those folks out there that haven't read the manga yet. But we clearly see a new villain. Yes, folks, a new villain. And his name is the Hero Killer Stain. Holy snap, we're going to see him in season 2. And I'm going to be excited when he pops up. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I personally want you folks out there to read the manga. If you enjoyed this anime, please go ahead and help the author, and buy his books and everything, because the fact that the artwork that he does within the rest of the chapters on ahead is clearly good, and the story keeps progressing more and more and more. But I'm gonna keep it short and gonna say that the Hero Killer Stain is gonna appear in season 2, and that's what I like in the fact that it's where the direction is going, because the fact that the Hero Killer Stain he's gonna join the League of Villains. Yes, folks, he's gonna join the League of Villains, and he's gonna bring some major damage to some of these students. Woo. He's gonna bring in the sauce. He's gonna bring in the juice, folks. Woo, man. But yes, folks, and also I want to kind of point out the fact that the villains themselves in this episode, they were kind of showcased that they clearly were losing. They at first, in the first couple episodes that they were introduced, they were unnerving, they were calm, but in this episode they were now showcased that now their unwavering calm demeanor was then gone after that, after All Might defeated Nomu. And I love the fact that Tomura was actually, he was down on his knees. He was embarrassed. He was ashamed of what happened to him, because the fact that he failed his mission, and it clearly showed that he's gonna come back as a stronger villain. And it's clearly funny that he's the only one that didn't get captured with Kurogiri, and so you can clearly tell that these two are gonna be the central figures of the next season as well. Yes, folks, these two villains themselves, they seem powerful, but in my opinion, I always feel that Kurogiri is actually the main head of the League of Villains, or the League of Villains, I should say, because the fact that he didn't really unwaver. Yes, he was mad in this episode, he was a little frustrated, but he's a little bit more calmer and takes more control of the situation when clearly life is at stake. And that's what I like about Kurogiri. He's one of my favorite villains so far, that he literally shows a lot of character progression here. And he literally shows that he can literally be a leadership material. But he's clearly following Tomura, so it goes along to say he's a very loyal subordinate, you could say. But maybe later on in the series and manga, I'm kind of hoping to see him, go along and give himself a very leadership role. I would love to see that in itself. But yes, folks, to wrap things up, yes, this is a wonderful episode. Support the author, buy the manga, read the manga, and if you love the anime, go ahead and try to like expand yourself, and like I said, read the manga. It was this the anime was very close to how the manga was portrayed, and that's what I loved about the fact that they kind of clearly done that with Studio Bones. They literally had done this whole entire season very beautifully. Yes, folks, go ahead and read the manga. It's very good. uh, but yes, folks, you know, comment down in the comment section below and let me know what you folks think about the whole entire season, the whole entire episode itself. How do you think the pacing was? What was your favorite moment of the whole entire season, the episode? Let me know what your opinions are of the entire episode. You know, and also, folks, have a wonderful day. You know, this whole entire weeks that have gone by throughout the whole showcasing of the anime, it clearly shows that there are more greatness is yet to come for the spring 2016 animes, and I'm loving how they're doing this. They're showcasing very well. But yes, folks, have a wonderful day. But this is Mr. Zen signing out.